All right. We are live. It's a live chat. It's a live show. It's a live everything. And I'm listening to the Beastie Boys. I wish I could play music. Don't you wish you could play music during a live stream? It'd be fun. People playing music in the background of, talking. Not loud. Or, I could DJ. Could DJ a little bit. That would be fun. Anyhow, welcome to the live stream where we do it live. And here it is. I am Tony D. And with me, as always, somewhere behind me is Joan. She's comfy. I don't want to disturb her. Joan the dog, who's very fuzzy and very annoying this week. Oh, man. She was hot under the collar because I couldn't take her out to eat or take her out to walk yesterday because we had thunderstorms. JEC is here. Hi. Welcome, JEC. Yeah, we had a little bit of thunder here in South Jersey. And I forgot to get the numbers up. Forgot all about that. One thing I depend upon is the numbers. Oh, yeah, and the IMDb. I'm forgetting all my damn tabs. But what was the deal in Celebrity Net Worth? I got to have that ready. To go. This week wasn't much. I did an event on Thursday, and that was it. I'm writing the Pineys this week. So that's it. That's all I've been doing, writing the Pineys. And I'm basically done the story. I just got to put in like another 8 pages in and around the story I already have and tweak some things and check some things. So I'm pretty happy with it. It came out pretty much the way I want, I think. I think people will be happy. I hope. Well, I don't know. They'll all get mad at me or something. That's always my fear, that everybody just gets mad at me for no reason. But yeah, this week, it was a crazy week in the news and in movies. Not so much in movies in terms of what came out, but it continues to be sort of a rough ride for movies. Conjuring, The Last Rites, let's get into it. Doing okay, 83 million. That's pretty good. I think that's above what they predicted. I don't remember being predicted that high, but that's pretty good for a horror movie. It's pretty great, because I'm sure this movie didn't cost all that much money. Let's see, 55 million. So they're on their way. They'll make this. This is money. Obviously. Next week they'll do 44 million, 42 million. That puts it at like 120 right there. You're pretty much in that money making territory. And that doesn't even count the rest of the week. So by next weekend, this will be in the black. I'm not surprised. It was a pretty popular little franchise. And the timing's right. I mean, this will probably still be in theaters in October, as well it should be. I mean, people want to go out and see scary movies in October. So this is a perfect thing to have out in the theaters. And, you get the initial bump in September, and then October rolls around, and just as it should be going out of theaters, you probably get another little bit of bump. Although there's a bunch of other horror movies coming out, so maybe not. Number 2 is Hamilton. Blah. Yeah, I don't like musicals, typically. I especially don't like ones about, the one founding father who was kind of a neocon. He wasn't great. There's a reason they shot him. But, yeah, I definitely am not down with this musical. And quite frankly, feels like these movies based on musicals are almost like, I don't know, they should be like those Fathom events, right? They shouldn't be like movies, but J.C. Hamilton looked insufferable. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to see this. No way I'm seeing this. 10 million. That's kind of low when you think about it, as popular as this thing was. And look at the friggin'. It's supposed to be one of our founding fathers. Look how, like, weird, undignified that is. The true story behind one of America's foremost, most founding fathers and the first U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, an immigrant from the Caribbean who's became George Washington's right-hand man during the Revolutionary War. And it's from Disney. No wonder I hate this thing. Is there nothing Disney can't corrupt and ruin? Number 3 is Weapons, of course. Weapons coming off a juggernaut. JEC, was it really popular or was it AstroTurf? No, it wasn't Broadway for a long time. I mean, if the thing had tanked, it's expensive to put on those shows. I mean, there's a reason why they charge $500 to $2,000 a ticket. They're friggin' expensive between, just the location in the middle of New York, security and parking, and all the unions involved in putting on these productions. They're expensive. So, there are plenty of Broadway shows that get canceled. Now, when you say AstroTurf, it could have been helped along a little bit. It could have had, longer than normal time to build an audience or build a rep. It could have gotten more advertising. LeMay is here. Another play to movie. Yeah, I'm not digging these. Except, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I like that. And I like the South Park one. The South Park one's great. I really like the South Park one. House of Mormon. It's the Book of Mormon. But it's the South Park guys. They're very funny. So yeah, I don't get this. I really don't get Wicked at all. It's like Wicked is just 2 movies they made. Number 3 is Weapons, and it's 5th week at $5.3 million. Doing gangbusters, I think. I think we already determined this. Yeah, we're at $251 million on a movie that cost $38. Yeah, give this guy another 5-picture deal. I mean, come on. This is how you make movies. You make them for 30, 40 million, and you make 200 million. You make 5 of these kinds of movies, and you make $1 billion. That's how you make $1 billion. JC, South Park musical was so good, they rehatched it. They rehatched all the same jokes from it 26 years later. What's Weapons about? I don't know exactly, but my take on it, it has something to do with a witch. And a bunch of children just disappear one night. And then it's about, what happened. So, I think it's about a witch, though. I think ultimately a witch did it. So, Josh Brolin's in it. I've heard good things. But this is the same guy who did Barbarian. I didn't really like Barbarian. I didn't think it was a good movie. It definitely wasn't a movie I'd recommend. However, that all being said, it was still kind of interesting, some aspects of it. I could see why people like it up to a point, but it was very weird. It was a very weird movie. But I am kind of looking forward to checking out Weapons. I do like movies that are creepy and weird, generally speaking. So basically, one night everybody wakes up and all the kids have they ran out of the house and disappeared. Nobody can find them. All the kids in this town. And then the whole movie's about what happened. So, I'm not sure why they call it Weapons. I'm not sure why they called it Barbarian, quite frankly. I suspect it's because, the main villain, you could say, is a barbarian, but it seems like 5 degrees removed from the word that it actually means. So weapons might be a similar thing. He might be going for a very similar kind of vibe. Number 4 is Freakier Friday, holding on to 4 in its 5th week, 3.8 million. This is, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. Jamie Lee Curtis, I used to kind of like her. You know, I liked that she kept coming back. Now I just kind of annoyed by her. Some of it's the politics, but not all of it. This one definitely made money. $42 million movie. It's at 142. But, you know, it's a kid's movie. LeMay, Pied Piper is the villain? I'm not sure. They did do a Pied Piper movie. But that was a completely different movie, completely different production. I think the movie was called Piper, if I'm not mistaken. And I want to say Elizabeth Hurley was in it. Let me see. They did do one, though. Let's see if it was Piper. Piper, 2016. No, that's not it. Maybe The Piper. Yeah, there it is. The Piper, Elizabeth Hurley. Yep. Yeah, so this is the spirit of the Pied Piper. And Elizabeth Hurley still looking hot. Still looking hotter than hot. And can you believe that Billy Ray Cyrus is shacked up with her? That guy, I mean, how does he do it? He's like, I thought Pete Davidson had the magic mojo, but no, I think it's Billy Ray Cyrus now. He's got some sort of attraction. He's got some sort of animal magnetism. That guy, he's getting Elizabeth Hurley now. Like, Elizabeth Hurley back in the day ends up with some dude like Billy Ray Cyrus. You're like, okay, she's some hot chick. She fell for some dude. She's not thinking. Elizabeth Hurley now? You would think, like, she's got to be way too smart for Billy Ray Cyrus, unless he's doing something right. Like, he's got something going on that we don't know about. And it's about 10 inches. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Next up is Caught Stealing. Drops from 3 to 5. This is a second week. 59%. It's not doing too good. I kind of want to see this movie still, though. 3.2 million. I don't think this is making money. 24 million. Oof. What did it cost? I have no idea. No idea. But Matt Smith, Austin Butler, Liev Schreiber, Vincent D'Onofrio, Carol Kane. I mean, I can name a lot of people in this movie. That's usually a sign it costs a lot of money. I got to think this costs way more than 24 million. So I hear it's not bad. But I feel, you know, I didn't have a strong need to go to the movie theater for it. And I'm so off of movie theaters right now. Man, they're really going to have to do something to get me back in a movie theater. But even if I still was opening to go into movie theaters, I think I'd still be like, I could wait to streaming on this. And once you see a movie in its second week like this, you could totally wait for streaming. This thing will be on streaming in a month. Easy. I'll wait. Pay $20. Me and my girlfriend will watch it. It'll be great. Looks like a good date movie, but who the hell takes a date onto the movies anymore? It's just, I don't think it's really much of a thing anymore to take a girl to a movie, is it? I don't think so. Number 6, dropping from 5, The Roses, 2.8 million. They should have never greenlit this thing. but it only dropped 55%. But it didn't start very strong. 32 million on a movie that cost what? We don't know. That's usually a sign it cost a lot more than, say, 32 million, and they don't want you to know. But Benedict Cumberbatch, Olivia Colman, Ncuti Gatwa for some reason. Yeah, they should have never remade this thing. I mean, this is a remake of The War of the Roses. I think it might follow the book more closely, but the book was written in the 80s. This thing's like 40. When did The War of the Roses come out? That had to be in the 80s, I think. $1989, yeah. There it is. And Danny DeVito was in that one. He was sort of the narrator. I think he was the lawyer. And I saw this. It wasn't great. This was in the era of the Romancing of the Stone, when Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito were kind of like, oh, let's put them in a movie again, because Romancing of the Stone did well, and then they did a sequel to that, and that was it. You know, Benedict Cumberbatch, I don't think he could really carry a movie, not like this. He was sort of being teed up to be, you know, more of a dramatic role guy, because he had played a lot of roles that were smart. Then he did Doctor Strange, and that seemed kind of a step down for him, a little too early. And then the first Doctor Strange is okay. The second Doctor Strange looks embarrassingly bad. And I think that partly hurt him. And just in general, he just seems to do anything. So some of his roles fit with the sort of like high-class actor you would expect, who would do a lot of really, you know, high-end dramatic roles, Oscar bait kind of stuff for years. And then later in his life do like the evil villain in an action movie because he's English, you know, when he was older, and then maybe do a comedy late in life. But this seems like a bad choice, number one, and too soon for him to do. And Olivia Colman seems like the totally wrong choice for this. She also is sort of the serious actor or actress. And this just seems like it's not funny enough to be funny. It's not serious enough to be serious. And it's a remake on top of that. So who the hell wants to see this? Like, who is it for? People who remember the old movie from 1989? I don't think it was that popular. And Ncuti Gatwa's in it. I mean, you can count me right out. Anything that dude's in, I am out. Number 7 from 6, The Fantastic Four, First Steps. 2.7 million in its 7th week of embarrassment. But it still has made 511 million, so that's money. It's not a lot of money. I don't think that's a lot of profit, but that's profit. So everything now, they keep it in the theaters, it's gravy. So why not keep it in another week or two? I don't know why they can't seem to make a decent Fantastic Four movie. I've always been of the mind they should have done it as a TV show, but they don't listen to me. Number 8, The Bad Guys, dropping from 7. This movie had legs for days. It's kind of weird. Apparently there's a very good following for this. 2.4 million. And on an $80 million project, kind of just broke even, maybe. Sam Rockwell, though, kind of can't catch a break. He's one of the voices. Number 9, Light of the World. 2.4 million, debuting at 9. That looks like a religious cartoon, and I think it is. It's 30 AD. Uh-oh. And everyone is expectantly waiting the coming Messiah. While Jesus isn't exactly what they imagined, there is something special about this man. Soon, John, James, Andrew, Peter, and their new friends begin to follow Jesus on an unexpected adventure. This sounds a little too light for the Bible, doesn't it? I mean, it's 30 AD. I guess it's not the crucifixion, so what do these guys do? Find a pirate treasure? It sounds like a setup for Goonies. The Adventures of Jesus. I think there were, I'm vaguely remembering there are books of the Bible when Jesus was a kid that were cut out of the Bible, if I'm remembering correctly. Number 10 is Superman. Still making $1 million. Look at that. 9th week. They said it couldn't be done, and there it is. $614 million. That has to be money for Superman. It was $225 million. Double that. That's $450 million. Throw in another $112 million. That's $562 million. That's profit. Profit. Collect underpants. Question mark. Profit. It's profit. It's not a lot of profit, but they made all the money back and then some. So people saying this movie flopped. Okay, you didn't like the movie. That doesn't mean it didn't make any money. I wish every movie I hated didn't make money. I wish Jurassic Park didn't make a dime, yet it did. Jaws, speaking of making money, drops from 2 to 11. Well, it's a 50-year-old movie, so I think we can forgive it. $950,000 still for a movie that was 50 years old. Well, they cut it out of 1,100 theaters, so it was just for the anniversary. Pretty good, though. Why not just keep it in for the weekend, at least? Number 12 is Splitsville. They just jacked it into a bunch of theaters in its third week. $815,000. Premiering at 13 is The Threesome, which is basically a very similar... Splitsville and The Threesome, I put that in the same 3-trailer breakdown. I forgot what the third movie was. The theme was like open relationships and threesomes, which is basically what both of those are. Splitsville is about 2 couples, one's in an open relationship, the other gets sucked into it, and one has sex with the other couple, and then all hell breaks loose. And then The Threesome is about a guy who has a threesome with a girl he's been pining for many years, and another girl who he meets in a bar, and the three of them have a fling, and he knocks them both up. And then he has to deal with both of them being pregnant. And then, of course, the girl he's been pining for all this time now is suddenly in love with him and mad that he knocked up the other girl, but he also feels bad for the other girl, and he's trying to help her out and do the right thing. It's kind of a funny premise. I mean, it's kind of a stupid way to run your life, but it's a funny premise for a movie. Because the guy's trying to like, you know, he's trying to do both things and he can't. And that both women are like kind of after him. Would I watch it? Probably not. It looks like the kind of movie that would be... Like if my girlfriend wanted to watch it, I'd watch it with her. And I could probably tolerate it. But I wouldn't initiate... There's so many other movies I want to see. Like Sisu, Road to Revenge. I can't wait to see that movie. Number 14 is The Naked Gun, and it's 6th week. I don't think this thing's making money, if I recall correctly. Oh, we don't know the budget. It only made $100 million. Maybe. Might be break even. I mean, they could have shot it for... They shot it for under what? They shot it for like $30 million. I mean, Weapons was $38 million, and it had Josh Brolin in it. So, yeah, they could have shot it for 30. 30, 40. 40 would be just break even if they shot it for 40. JEC, he came in both broads during the same threesome. That's so poor impulse control. I know. But sounds like you had a wild time. Alex Ogle, evening bigots. I haven't any movie pitches this week as I've not been paying attention to the media circus. I spent a nice weekend watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy with a friend celebrating her birthday and 2 T-bone steaks the size of dinner plates. Hobbit food double plus good. That sounds delicious. I just had a fantastic meal tonight. My girlfriend made ribs in, what is it? Not a crock pot, not a pressure cooker, the other thing. It's one you can put on the stove. It's similar to the tip. And then she made that. She made a baked potato and a nice salad. And then we had peach cobbler and banana bread with homemade whipped cream. Phew. I was full. Oh, and corn. We had some nice corn, Jersey corn. So, yeah, a lot of good eating this weekend. And I've been working hard on book 19, so that was nice. She was like, stay in your office, work on the book. She wants to read the book. So it's nice. But that's great. That's great, Alex. Lord of the Rings, well, gave you plenty of time to eat that steak. You know, if it's a big steak, you eat a third of it during the first act or first movie, another third during the, and then by the last one, you're like, hurry up and get the Mordor. LeMay, Dutch oven? I can't think of what she called it, but she said it's like a Dutch oven. You can put it on the stove. Oh, I can't remember what it is. I can't remember what it was called, but it was good. It made the ribs fall off the bone, like the meat fell off the bone. And then before that, she cooked them, and then she put them in the oven to kind of like get the sauce cooked on them. And then I didn't even get my hands dirty. I had a knife and fork. I just pulled the meat off and went right in my mouth. Kite is here. You need more steak. Steak icon. Everybody needs more steak, Kite. I have a grill. I occasionally love to grill a steak or hamburger. I love hamburgers. I love hamburgers so much. JC, I'm not going to say Lord of the Rings is bad, but the second one, the pacing goes off a cliff, not going to lie. Well, I think if you're watching all three, it's a little bit of a different experience. But, I mean, if you're just watching the one... Alex Olga, your girlfriend sounds like a keeper, Tony. Well done. I think so. Thank you. Hopefully she's still watching. Hi, baby. She said she would watch until I burped and did something disgusting, and then she would tune out. So I'm trying not to do anything disgusting. But don't hold it to me, because it's a long stream. But yeah, the Naked Gun thing, I don't think it's making money. But maybe it broke even. 15, Jurassic, drop it from 12, Jurassic World Rebirth, that made money. This movie is, if I could buy stock in a movie, I'd buy stock in Jurassic World. JC, or I said something terrible. Yeah, no, Lord of the Rings. I mean, the thing about the middle movie is, like, it's the second act. Really, the first movie's the first act, the second movie's the second act, and the third movie's the third act. So, all the cool stuff happens in the third movie. The first movie's all set up, which is kind of cool in its own way. The second act is kind of a slog. Kind of. In some respects, because, rather than one movie, let's say, of Lord of the Rings, it's 3, and so whatever would feel long in a one movie. If you're watching a movie, the long moments where a movie lags is usually in the second act. And when you have a whole movie that's essentially one giant second act, you're like... So I don't blame you for saying that. Kite. I hate Jurassic World. Makes money on name alone when trailers put off most original JP fans. Yeah, I remember complaints from the first movie, if you can imagine. There were a lot of people who complained about the first movie not following the book, and because what was it? I think it was Jeff Goldblum character dies. Did I just say character twice? Jeff Goldblum's character dies in the book, I think, and then a guy who died in the movie. Jeff Goldblum doesn't die in the movie, and then there's a character that dies who didn't die in the book, something like that. I don't know. It really is just gone on too long. Kite, I want Spielberg back to remake JP and Lost World more closely following the book. Well, I think you got a long wait for that. I think Spielberg's mostly done. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what happened to him. For me, Spielberg was always the guy who made sappy movies. A couple of them were really good. Certain Spielberg movies I really enjoy, but some of them were so sappy at the time when they came out. I was just like, I can't watch this. So saccharine. And then he makes, more recently, West Side Story, which just seemed like the dumbest move all the way around. First off, it was a remake of a movie that was insanely popular when it came out. Like West Side Story, I believe it won Oscars, but it was huge when it came out because it was like one of these popular play movies. It was very similar time. But at that time, West Side Story was insanely popular. And then they made the movie and it was even more popular. And then Spielberg comes along, decides to remake it at a time when it's not in the theaters, hasn't been, and I don't think it's been in the theaters for years. Like if they had put it back on Broadway and it hit big, I would have kind of understood it. But they put it back, they put it in a movie, and they made it woke. Like, so it's like, oh, well, we'll get modern audiences into West Side Story. I don't think you will, because it takes place in the past, so all the sort of cultural points in it are for people who are, let's say, when does it take place? Like the 50s? I think it takes place in the 50s. Essentially, your entire audience is dead. Maybe a handful of old people would have gone to see it, but they wouldn't have liked all the woke crap you jammed in for the modern audience. So who the hell is the movie for? Like, West Side Story, if you had remade it into a movie, I would have thought you would have done it in the 80s. Maybe. Although in the 80s, I don't think that would have flown. Kite, Jeff Goldblum is thought to be dead at the end of the book, left him behind in the raptor nest. Gennaro and Muldoon both survive. Hammond dies to compies. Oh, so one of those, Hammond's the hunter, right? Or which one was the hunter? Muldoon? I don't remember the characters' names. JEC, I think Spielberg's vibe didn't hit the same when he switched over to digital and CGI. Kite, true, JEC. Alex Ogle, the two worst trailers for me were Indiana Jones and The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where he says part-time, properly only to say it like he forgot his lines in the actual film. And Deep Impact, where I swear they showed the asteroid impact as much bigger than they did in the actual film. I hate when trailers oversell. I do too, and I think I was talking about this on my scrapbooking video. I remember seeing LA Story, the trailer, and they must have recut the movie or reshot it. And John Lithgow, I think, was originally supposed to be in the movie. And I remember seeing a clip of him in the movie, and I was like, oh, John Lithgow's in this, along with Steve Martin? Sign me up. And then I went to see the movie, and Lithgow wasn't in it. So I think they cut him out. If I'm remembering that correctly. I think I am. J.C. Spielberg loved the original West Side Story. He did it just as a self-indulgent exercise. Well, I think he paid the price. Because that did not do well. Kite. Muldoon is the hunter. Okay. Hammond is the park's creator. Right. Hammond. Now I remember. Heel also is a bit of an a-hole, not some happy-go-lucky guy. Yeah, I mean, at this point, though, I really think the movie industry desperately needs to move on. Like, they just need to call, one studio just needs to say, okay, we're not doing any reboots. We're not doing any reboots for the foreseeable future. Like, at minimum, I would say 5 years, closer to 10. And then sort of wipe the slate clean, put some new stuff out there. And look, just because you're not doing reboots doesn't mean you can't do a movie that basically is the same thing, right? So just because you're Disney and you own, let's say, Star Wars, doesn't mean you can't put it on the shelf and do another space movie and just do a different space movie, a different tone, different deal. And if it works out real well, then maybe you could do a little crossover at some point in the future. But, you know, you can still do space movies. You can still, you know, put aside the Marvel Comics and do a superhero movie. You don't have to just, you know, do a different one. But it's just so bad now. Everything's a reboot or a retread. And then you've got, you know, you've got some other movies out there that are struggling, but they can't get any screen time. And the entire movie theater deal is just sucks. It just sucks so bad. I hate to keep complaining about it, but I ask for so little in a movie theater. I just want to see the movie. I just want to sit there in the dark and watch a movie. Is that so hard to accomplish, movie theater people? Apparently it's so. Apparently it's not good enough. Apparently I have to be bombarded by commercials and annoyed and pay incredible prices, and there's nothing in the movie theater that I really like anymore. It's sad. Kite, that would be nice, but I suppose redoing the JP story correctly to and done. The sad part is the people are so tied to Ian Malcolm and Grant and Ellie. I would just put this stuff aside. I mean, you look at it, coming up here on the list, Nobody 2, right? So Nobody is really just yet another version of John Wick, or The Long Kiss Goodnight, or a bunch of other movies that have done the whole hitman with a heart of gold thing, or hitman who retires and then comes out of retirement, whatever. They've done like a million of these. And as much as I think Nobody and Nobody 2, Nobody was kind of mid, and Nobody 2 sounds like it's awful, at least you can say, well, it wasn't a reboot. I'd rather have a rip-off of a movie than a reboot. Sometimes a rip-off of a movie is not too bad. Indie Phantom is here. Yeah, the experience of the movie theater, mostly not worth it. Just a bummer. I think you meant bummer. Alex Ogle, movies need a new look or new book to adapt. The Bible was done in the 50s. Dystopian sci-fi was done in the 70s. The 60s was all arty crap that hasn't aged particularly well. 2000s had Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. I think the trouble is twofold. There are no good books these days, and two, no one is reading anymore. I would agree with most of that assessment. I think there are good books, but I think the good books are even harder to find these days. The problem is everything's become so corporatized, right? So you have, for instance, in the world of comics, the only comic books that people really know in the United States are Marvel and DC comics, and a handful of other comics, but mostly Marvel and DC. There are literally thousands of other comics, and some of them are very good, and would make great movies, and you're probably never going to see them because they were made by obscure guys who did sort of a 1 or 2 issue thing. It was a one and done, or maybe they did a graphic novel and they just disappear, or they get a job somewhere else, or they become tattoo artists, whatever. It's sort of the same with books. There are a lot of guys who have done books that have kind of gone nowhere, but the books were good, and the people who read them really liked them. It's just that the book never got any kind of oomph behind it. And then you have thousands of other books that are in the pipeline of the corporate world, and they get all the attention and the praise, and they get put right into development because it was all part of the plan in the corporate world, you know. So if you have an agent who signs a deal with you, and then he gets part of the book rights or the movie rights to your book, and he gets you a deal and you get some money, but you have to share in the book rights, and then the publisher says, well, we're going to give you some money, but we own most of the movie rights, and you're going to get a piece of it. Like, you know, the guy who creates it is sort of down on the list of control and money, and then the product gets pushed up the chain because the company owns most of it. And but that creates its own problems, right? So if you know going into signing a contract with a company, and I've done this before, I know that the company's either going to own the story or own most of it. I'm really not going to give them the story. I'll give them a story. I'll give them a good story, but I'm not going to give them the story. I'm not going to give them the Pineys. That's my story. If they want the Pineys, they're going to pay me, and I'm going to have control over it. But there's plenty of other stories I wrote, and I don't care about them. I mean, I wrote them. They're good. They have good bits in them, but they're not the Pineys. You know, you have stuff as an artist that is like your thing. It's the thing. And then you have other stuff you do just basically for money. You know, I've written comics. I wrote the Simpsons comics. I mean, I'm not in love with those stories. They're fine. I like them. I came up with them. But they're Simpsons comics. I don't own them. So if I came up with the most amazing idea for a story that any character could be in, I wouldn't give it to the Simpsons people. I'd keep it for myself. Indie Phantom, nobody too was too silly. That's what I heard. Kite. Speaking of new fresh stuff, Weapons is kind of mid, but being mid puts it at the top horror films for a while. Yes, apparently. That's a shame. It is mid. I mean, I thought Barbarian was mid. Alex, Nobody 2 didn't need making. Nobody was a superb film purely because of the novelty, but that's all it was, novelty. A sequel doesn't work. Except for the Pineys. They need a movie franchise. That's right. Yeah, I don't know. I was of the mind, after I watched Nobody, I felt like there wasn't enough information to justify what I had just seen. And then when they were talking about a sequel, I thought, well, maybe you could do a sequel in such a way that it would kind of explain what the deal was in the first movie. But it sounds like they didn't do that. Instead, they kind of pitched this idea of like basically Vacation with a hitman family. And then the whole family was like shooting people, or at least the wife was. And I was just like, what? Indie Phantom, mostly read nonfiction now. Mostly read nonfiction now. Many books have been wokeified too. There are exceptions, but I'm generally too lazy and just to go back to older stuff. I missed how well The Conjuring did. I'm guessing well, but not as well as some of the earlier ones. It did 83 million. 83 million ain't too shabby. Let's see. Let's see how the others did. I don't even know if they did that well. The Conjuring. This site is the slowest site in the history of websites. Alex Ogle, the only woke book worth reading is Wokistan. Thank you. Tony does a great job at parodying that university in Washington. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh my God, this isn't even coming up. What the hell, site? Indie Phantom, I still want to see the new Toxic Avenger just because I'm amazed they did a theatrical. Okay, so here is The Conjuring, Conjuring 2, The Last Rites, and The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which should technically be the third one, but alphabetically it lands there. So it looks like the third one didn't do as well as the first two, but the fourth one is doing better than the third one. So it opened 83 million. The other two opened over 100, and the third one opened at 65. So it'll do okay for the last installment, I think. Kite, your magnum opus, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, that's what you want from artists. You can't make every book into a movie, and you want to attract talent in a way that they give you your best. And you don't have to give them much. You just have to assure them of two things. Number one, they'll get something. They'll get some of the money. And it's easy to give these artists a little piece of it, and they're more than happy. Some artists are greedy, but like, for instance, remember, I don't know if you remember, when Blade came out, the co-creator of Blade, I believe it was Marv Wolfman, one of the comic guys, he had always put, what they would do back in the days of Marvel is they would put your contract on the back of your paycheck. So when you signed your paycheck, you were signing the contract, you were signing over the rights of everything you did. And apparently, I think it was Marv Wolfman, what he did was every time he signed his paycheck, he put a little notation in that somehow voided that, or he thought. And so when Blade hit big, he sued Marvel over it. Marvel had moved its offices out of New York to LA, and in the process lost a bunch of the paperwork that would have confirmed their ownership in Blade. And so it was looking pretty good when he sued him that he would get paid, but he lost the lawsuit anyway. But here's the weird thing. Like Marv Wolfman, as far as I know, he's not a millionaire. Let me see. I don't even think he would be on this list of celebrity things. Let me see. Marv Wolfman. Oh, he is here. Yeah, see, he's only worth $500,000. Oh, that's not the same Marv Wolfman. It's a different guy. I'm thinking of the comic book guy. Yeah, so the comic book guy isn't even on Celebrity Net Worth. So who the hell knows what he's worth? But let's just say Marv is worth, even just a couple of $1 million. He's probably not. He's a comic book guy, but he was a pretty popular one. Let's just say he was really good with his money. He's worth like $2 million. When they start to do the Blade movie, he created Blade. I think you would want him to do interviews talking about how great the Blade movie's going to be and how wonderful it is they're making a Blade movie. And so, even when they made the Blade movies in the 90s, they still pissed away tens of millions of dollars on a movie. You can't throw this guy $200K and say, oh, here's the creator of Blade. Yeah, here's $200K for doing nothing. So you'll go out and say something nice about our product. I'm sure, maybe he would have asked for more. Who knows? But I'm sure he would have been happy, right? Happy to just, out of nowhere, the movie studio tracks him down and says, hey, we want to give you $200,000 because we're going to do a Blade movie, even though we don't owe you the money. And, maybe even, ask him in as a consultant. Just, as a courtesy at the very least. These movie guys don't want to work with anybody, but let's just say You ask him in as a consultant. He comes to a few meetings, and you know, and then the movie does well. Who cares? If the movie does poorly, who cares? You at least look like a nice studio, a studio that takes care of its talent, is respectful of talent, and other talent appreciate that, and they come to you with projects. That's what you do, in my opinion. Instead, I don't think they gave Marv his due. I'm almost sure it's Marv Wolfman. Now I got to look it up. Creator of Blade. Marv Wolfman. Yeah, there it is. I knew it was Marv Wolfman. So, why not smooth the way? Hold on. I don't want to burp on camera because my girlfriend gets mad. But instead they didn't. They ended up in a lawsuit, which they won, but so what? I lost my place. Kite, I think. Your magnum opus, so to speak. Yes. Indie Phantom. Tony, you just got interrupted by a trailer for the Mark Ruffalo series. Actually, it looked okay. Yeah, I think that's Task. Takes place in Philadelphia. It actually doesn't look bad. Looks like a pretty standard cop show. Alex Ogle at Indie Phantom. And that's why I use ad blocker. Indie Phantom. I liked Weapons, but not something I would watch again. I still need to see Sinners, but that doesn't look as original as what I'm hearing. Alex had an ad blocker that I think recently got banned or some S. When I'm not stupid lazy, I will look for a replacement. I remember finding the last Conjuring pretty lame. I'm kind of done with them. Yeah, as far as Sinners go, there's one scene in the movie that's almost will ruin it for you. I found it absolutely cringe. This one scene that comes out of nowhere and you go, oh God, is this going to continue? And mercifully, it ends after a couple of minutes, and then the movie continues, and then the movie actually starts to pick up then. But that scene is the effing worst. Almost ruins it for you. But the rest of the movie, when the vampires start doing stuff, it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's a little long for what happens, because you could see it coming. But yeah, it's okay. But again, stick with the movie after that scene. You'll know exactly what scene I'm talking about. Indie Phantom, I'm halfway through the new Naked Gun. Very mid. Pam Anderson is really grating in it. Without her looks holding up, what is the point? Liam is fine, but he looks 20 years older than Leslie Nielsen. Yeah, I mean, you know, the best bit in it they showed in the trailer. A lot of the best bits. The O.J. Simpson bit I thought was very funny. Mostly mid, yeah. I kind of agree with you. I mean, it's fine. It just doesn't have enough jokes. Like, you know, and I talked about this in my review. Like, they're continuing Police Squad, which made fun of mostly 70s cop shows. And 70s cop shows were very specific, had a lot of specific look and feel to them. And that's mainly what Police Squad was. That era was very big on cop shows. I remember watching TV in that era. And they didn't really update it. Like, why wouldn't you update the cop shows that you're parroting in Police Squad? Like, why wouldn't you have, number one, and I said this, Leslie Nielsen is in Taken. Why wouldn't you do a parody of Taken, the Taken scene, the famous Taken scene where he goes, I have a very specific set of skills, and his daughter gets pulled out from under the bed. Like, why wouldn't you do a parody of that somewhere? Like, that would have been amazing. And quite frankly, all the movies that Leslie Nielsen, or Liam Neeson has been in. He's been in so many movies like that. He's in the Ice Road Trucker movie where he kills people. Like, all those movies needed desperately to be parodied. And everybody watching Liam Neeson in that movie would have known it because they're fans of Liam Neeson. So that absolutely needed to be parodied. Number two, why didn't you parody NCIS, CSI, all these new cop shows, Law and Order SVU? Like, there are no parodies of those shows. Those are the modern cop shows. Like, why didn't you have one? And the Simpsons did it. You know, where you have the forensic thing and it zooms in on a piece of evidence and then it turns it into a 3D thing and then it zooms out and says all these things. Like, why wouldn't you do something like that? They're still doing the bits. It's like they continued Police Squad and then they're still trying to do bits from that era. That era's done, man. It's 20 years old. Indie Phantom, probably watch Sinner soon. I am sure I will know the scene. You absolutely will. Guess they didn't want new blood for Naked Gun. Yeah, the jokes are fine in it, but I expected more too. There was a line that he said basically from Taken, but it was like Liam didn't even realize the chance to play with it. Was there? He didn't do the line, but he must have done a line. I don't know. And Seth MacFarlane was in on that. He was an EP. I would have expected his guys. I know one of the guys in Seth MacFarlane's crew. He went to college with me. He wrote for Family Guy. And he wrote, I think he worked on Ted, or at least Ted 2, which didn't do too well. But I would have expected more from him. I know he can write better than what I saw on The Naked Gun. If you could, my friend, he could have wrote that whole movie, no problem. He's very talented. And I don't say that about many people, but he could have written that movie 100% and much better than what you saw. So I'm not sure what went wrong. I mean, you know, it's like maybe too many cooks spoil the stew kind of thing. Maybe there are like too many people working on the movie fighting for jokes and time. Anywho, number 16 is F1 the movie. I hear good things about this, but I don't know too many people who actually saw it. It's in its 11th week. Oh, excuse me. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Indie Phantom, Tony, with so few comedies, won't writers lose their chops for it? The thing is this, I would say, I don't think it's about losing your chops. I just don't think they're hiring comedians. You know, they used to, Comedy Central, when my friend was living in New York and he was doing stand-up, he told me that Comedy Central would sometimes just go into comedy clubs and they'd pick out a bunch of young comics for the next couple of weeks, and they'd pay them like $1,000 or $2,000 a week. This is like, I don't know, 90s, 2000s, just to write comedy. They just bring them into the office to write comedy bits, and they try to suck all the comedy out of them in like, I don't know, 2 weeks or something. And then they'd cut them loose. I'm not exactly sure what the purpose was, but he did it. Made a little money. There are a million guys still doing stand-up. I just don't think the people making this stuff they're not cultivating it. They're not looking for these guys. They're not hiring them. They are just saying, oh, we need to do a comedy now. And then they just pick the guys that are right in front of them. And that's very typical Hollywood behavior. The difference was, in the days when comedies were made, there were enough people in that mix that were comedians or comedy guys. Now it seems a lot of those guys have either been pushed out or they just don't do comedy anymore. I mean, look at Bob Odenkirk. Bob Odenkirk is a comedic writer. I mean, he worked on The Simpsons. He worked on Mr. Show. Even Saul Goodman, the character on Breaking Bad, was kind of a comic relief guy, and even to some extent in his show, but now he's like a serious actor. So a lot of these guys just decided, well, this is where the money is, so that's where I'm going, and now I'm not doing comedy. I think deep down, a guy like Odenkirk probably wants to do comedy, but there's kind of no money in it because these guys don't want to pay for it. They don't see a reason to put comedy on the screen. It is very risky. I will say that. It is very risky to do comedy. So, Indie Phantom, I have been putting off F1 so long, I think it will be pretty good, but I just never press play for some reason. Same with most of the movies, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, it looks fine. It's not a movie, I would say. I'm not much of a gearhead. I'm not much of a car dude. But people said it was good. And that's the other problem, too. It used to be when the internet even, back in the old internet days, or when you would hear a movie was good, you know, it was at least in the realm of being good. You know what I mean? Like, you may not have agreed with the assessment, but then you looked at the movie and said, oh, that was pretty good. And now I've heard, I mean, like Barbarian is the most recent example. Like, people raved about Barbarian. Oh my God, you gotta see Barbarian. You gotta see Barbarian. And then I saw it and I was like, you oversold this a lot. I mean, it was okay. It had some interesting ideas in it, but I wouldn't call it a good movie. It would definitely not be a movie I would recommend to anybody other than my weird friend who loves horror movies. So it's a kind of a messed up movie when you get right down to it. But it's different, but it's not great. But it's like what Kite said, like, that's a mid movie and people are raving about it because the bar is now so low, even a mid movie's like, wow, it was great. That's a great movie. Oh, well, it had a beginning, middle, and end. See, it was great. I think we could do better than just a beginning, middle, and end. I think we could do, you know, a real big surprise. An ending that's ironic and funny and, you know, it's got a little bit of everything. Instead, we get, oh, the movie's over. I guess that's it for this one. Indie Phantom, I think because the average movie isn't good, folks just jump on anything that isn't totally broken, as you said. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Kite on that. It just seems to be that way now. The bar is so low. Oh, I think I skipped one. Indie Phantom, it's like when Jim Carrey wanted to do straight up drama. I heard he was difficult on the set of The Majestic. Alex Ogle, Liam Neeson needs a fresh scandal to boost his profile. Perhaps he should be filmed joining those Northern Ireland fans in Belgium singing at the passing Palestine protest. If you know, you know. I don't know. I don't want to know. No, I think what these guys need to do is to actually just sit down and make a good movie. I know that sounds weird to say, but there's something to be said for just concentrating on your craft and trying to make it as good as possible. Because eventually people see the craft. Now, they might not see it right away. If the movie, you know, doesn't catch a good week and it's up against a bunch of stuff and it you know, sort of wind gets sucked out of it, it might go right to streaming and then get, you know, turn into a cult classic that later on everybody goes, oh, how did I miss this movie? But, you know, you have to try to make something really good. And I just don't see that now. Everybody is kind of off in their own little corner trying to game the system as much as they can on social media and doing other things. There are very few people who are actually trying to make, it seems to me, a good movie. When I would see behind the scenes stuff in the 70s and 80s and even the 90s, you know, some of it was BS, but most of it was about, okay, we made this movie and we worked really hard on it. Now I see these making ofs and it feels like they're all fake. Like every last one of them are fake. Like nobody's really doing half the stuff they said. They're just saying that so you go see the movie, right? Like when some actress says, oh, I did kickboxing for 6 months in order to train for this. it turns out like maybe that's not the case, or maybe that's totally exaggerated. You know, Anna de Armas in like the John Wick movie, like her moves in the trailer look terrible, and you know, that to me would be an example of a movie that just, it looked like everybody was just there to collect the paycheck at that point. And that's part of the problem with doing these franchises and these big money things that the studio knows will bring in the money. Everybody's just there for the paycheck. They're super happy to be there. It's not like some of them aren't giving a good performance, but they're essentially all punching a clock, right? You know, who's in charge of the Jurassic World now? Who's the creative behind that? The guy who wrote the books are dead. He wasn't really in on the process. You know, the guys who started the movie aren't doing it anymore. So they're just punching a clock, man. It's the problem I had with all these comic book guys back in the day when I was reading a lot of comics. I would read the comic and I go, there's something wrong with this. And I would go, why don't these guys consult with the creator? And then I would look up the creator, like, oh, he's been dead for 20 years. Oh, so there's nobody at Marvel or DC telling people, well, that's not what Batman would do, or that's not what Superman will do. So instead, you got a room full of people discussing, well, you know, the X-Men can do this, but they can't do that. Oh, well, maybe they can. Why not? And then, you know, it's too many people. There's not a vision. So, like, I have a vision, for instance, for the Pineys, right? If I handed that over to a corporate group, it would be like 5 people sitting around the table going, how can we make the Pineys the greatest thing ever? Well, why don't we add some more women and some more trans people? You know, that's whatever the trend is. That's what they're going to suggest. They're not creatives. They're just corporate wonks suggesting things that they heard on the internet was cool. So none of these guys should be in charge of the creative stuff. There should be a definitive line. Now, these guys, they have MBAs, they run the corporate end, they run the money. So obviously there has to be some limits. So, but there already is. It's called the budget. So when the weapons guy came to him and said, well, can you do this for $38 million? He said, yeah. And he shot it for $38 million. Or maybe he came under budget. I don't know. You know, as long as he gets around $38 million and that's what they expected to pay, it's all good, baby. And the way they usually budget movies is, you know, they're going to budget in some buffer. So really that movie, where'd they budget? They probably budgeted somewhere in 34, 35 million. So they had 3 or 4 million to play with in case something went wrong. You know, Josh Brolin breaks his leg and he can't finish the movie and they got to wait 6 months and then they got, you know, they sit on that 4 million and they finish the movie. But, you know, other people can come in under budget. You got these $200 million movies. They can't come in under budget and they suck. One of the reasons they suck is because they don't have a script, which is the other thing I discussed in my scrapbooking video. Dave Cullen did a video about this. They don't have a script for Doomsday, and they're already shooting it, apparently. It's not going to work. It's going to be a disaster. They're going to have all these crazy scenes, and they're going to try to string them all together. And they're going to go back and shoot stuff. It's not going to work. It'll be... Maybe it'll be watchable if you keep showing it to focus groups, but it's no way to make a movie. It's not going to be, you know, visionary. It's not going to be like, wow, that was a great movie. It might be, well, that was watchable. Like, you know, like Thunderbolts, I hear, is pretty watchable, but is that the movie you want for $200 million? For $200 million, my God, the movie should blow the back of your head off, and you should be like, I'm changed as a human being. I'll never be the same. That should be a $200 million movie. Not like, Indie Phantom, I wonder if Honey Don't made enough for Ethan and his woke wife to finish their Lesbo trilogy. I will watch that one, but expect it to be online real soon. I want to watch that to watch Margaret Qualley make out for it with Aubrey Plaza, that's for sure. Ballerina was pretty mid. She was way sexier in the Bond movie. Couple of decent scenes, but not engaging. When you get into it, I gotta know what Linda is made 11K. All right, we'll be getting to that. Ron Howard is tanking just like Robert Zemeckis now. Here, that Eden cost nearly $50 million and looks like it didn't make $2. I think it's Oscar bait, but that's just me. All right, so Nobody 2, we talked about that. $335K. It's going nowhere. This is a flop, by the way. Nobody 2. I think $37 million. Cost $25 million to make. It's not going to make it. I don't think. This should do at least 50 to break even. I don't think it's going to do that. The Toxic Avenger unrated has made, in its second week, dropped 86%. Let me say that again. The Toxic Avenger, in its second week, dropped 86%. Now, in its defense, they dropped it from over 1,200 theaters. It's made $3 million. I don't think there's any way that didn't cost way more than $3 million. There's a lot of names in it. Elijah Wood, Peter Dinklage, Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon will cost you $3 million. Toxic Avenger, that's got to be a flop. It's got to be a bad flop. This was a movie they weren't even going to release because it was legendarily so bad that nobody wanted to release it. But that's the way Troma films were. I don't know why they thought they could remake this and capture the magic of Troma. Troma made dozens and dozens of schlocky movies with non-actors who didn't rehearse, that they did one take, and in my opinion, so they stumbled upon a hit when they did The Toxic Avenger and redubbed the actor's voice. Indie Phantom. So Dinklage not getting a Toxie franchise? I sincerely doubt it. But who knows? Maybe he already signed on for 3 movies and they've already got the funding. The Legend of Hai 2, which I'm sure is something Asian and cartoony. Okay. I don't know. Japanese schoolgirl, maybe. I don't really care about this stuff. Love, Brooklyn. 120K in its second week. Sounds like art house movie. They dropped it in 109 more theaters. Honey Don't, there it is, in its third week, made $100,000. It's made $5.8 million. I don't know what this thing costs, but you got Margaret Qualley and Aubrey Plaza and Chris Evans. I find it hard to believe this thing could possibly cost less than $5.8 million. I mean, this thing had to cost. I mean, the talent probably cost you more than that. Especially with Margaret Qualley. She's in her prime. Smoking hottie coming off the substance. Maybe they got her before that, but that's a shame. I mean, I kind of like the look of Honey Don't. I mean, maybe it's good, but if it's woke, I don't care. Lilo and Stitch, somehow still in theaters. It's been in theaters for 16 weeks, made $93K. Cat Video Fest is still out. Oh, thank God. If you want to pay to see YouTube videos. And then The Baltimoreans finally premiered. Yes, that's the title of the film. It's The Baltimoreans, everybody. I love the title, actually, but it made $40,000. It's a comedy. Like a family sort of comedy. After cracking a tooth on Christmas Eve, newly sober Cliff embarks on an adventure through Baltimore with Dee Dee, his emergency dentist. And they become, they fall in love. And it's, wacky family stuff. It doesn't look, it looks harmless enough. I don't think it'll do much business. Together, my girlfriend wants to see Together. I'm a little off put by the whole concept where the couple like merges together because of some weird pool on their property or something. Yeah, it's kind of a disturbing poster. Did $24 million, but Dave Franco and Allison Brie, who are married in real life, star in this, and I think they put this whole movie together. 24 million, I don't know. Hope they didn't invest their own money. I mean, that might be money because it's two actors pulling it together. So they're the big names. They could have taken less money to make the movie. You know, if they got this movie, let's say they got this movie in for like 10 million, it's basically money or break even. And that's what they want if they're going to start doing, producing their own films and making their own films, because then hopefully the next one does better. They want to be able to show a profit. So, let's see. Somebody named Asia911 is here. LOL, loser. No one is watching. Yeah, you. I don't know who you are. Indie Phantom, I saw together. Ending is kind of interesting. Was busier this summer than most of the stuff I saw in local art house. I'm a 2.5 out of 5. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I could see that scene. Indie Phantom, didn't know they were a real couple. Yeah. Yeah. I like Allison Brie. Dave Franco is a lot like his brother. Next up, A Little Prayer. In its second week, dropping 59%. Indie Phantom troll skills are weak with this one. He'll get bored and go away. Next one is Riefenstahl. Riefenstahl. That must be Leni Riefenstahl. She was the... oh, crap. Now the website went out. All right. Leni Riefenstahl was the filmmaker for The Bad Guy from Germany. So... Alex Ogle, our local artsy movie theater is too woke for me to visit. Yeah, Leni Riefenstahl, she's the one, and it was a she, I believe. She made the movie, if you've ever seen the footage of the bad guy from Germany at the Olympics, where he's rocking back and forth like a maniac. Holy crap. I don't know how that footage survived, but he looks out of his mind. See that, look up that sometime if you want to see something frightening. And this guy is out of his mind. And there are people on X defending him. Oh my God, the people on X are embarrassing. Indie Phantom, Allison Brie is kind of fine, but haven't seen much of her apart from Community. She was in what? She was in Mad Men. She was one of the side characters on Mad Men. She was one of the wives. And she's in something else. I can't think of what it was. But she gets some work, I think. After Riefenstahl, you got Sketch from Angel Studios. Angel Studios seems to be doing well. They're doing low budget things and sort of squeaking them out there. And then, all right, so here's Linda. What the heck is Linda? Oh, okay, so this is an Asian thing. For Kyoko, and Nozomi, their dream of playing a final high school concert together is dashed when their lead vocalist quits the band. Desperate, they recruit the very first person they see, Korean exchange student Sun, whose comprehension of Japanese is limited as best. Well, this is going to be a tough movie to process for us in America, methinks. It's a race against time as the group struggles to learn 3 songs in 3 days for the festival's rock concert. Why did they call it Linda? I guess because they're changing the names of the characters, and maybe the names of the characters had something to do. Maybe it had something to do with the plot of the movie. Maybe that's the name of their group. I don't know. It sounds cute. Indie Phantom, Alex, there are 2 art houses in my city. One crazy woke. The other has a cool programmer And while the audiences are still woke, I just dug the place. Great food and atmosphere. LOL. In my area, what do I have? Well, I tell you, it's a sad story in some respects. We have a local chain called the Ritz, and that was based out of Philly. So initially there was the Ritz Theater at the Borscht, which is this building in Philly, and then they moved like down the street, and then they got a second location in Philly. I forget what that's called. It's a Ritz at something. Indie Phantom Theaters, a bit desperate with Linda. So then the Ritz was doing really good. This would have been back in the 90s and the 2000s, because they were showing art house movies back when they were cool and you couldn't really see them anywhere else. You kind of could maybe get them. I mean, you could get some of them through various video rental services then, and the internet was just coming forward with that. But then the guys who owned the Ritz took a big chance, and they built a massive theater near me, like one town over. How many screens do they have? Either 12 or 16, I forget. And the idea was they were going to show mostly regular movies, and then 4 or 5 screens would be art house type movies. So they were going to run it like an art house, but they were going to show mainstream stuff too. And I loved it. It had a coffee bar. It had the high-end snacks, the whole thing. But it didn't work. And unfortunately, eventually they had to sell out to another movie theater, which took it over. And they just kicked out all the art house stuff and put mainstream movies in it so they could make money. It's just a shame it didn't work. It was like they were trying to mainstream the art house movie theater. And so for a while, it wasn't bad because we still had, even though it was mainstream movies, we had like a nice theater and we had the coffee bar and everything, but eventually all that went away. So the coffee bar is still there. They just put a bunch of standees in front of it so nobody knows it's there. I miss the coffee bar at the movie theater. So it's run now by one of the major chains. I want to say like National Amusements or something. It had the comfy seats before comfy seats became a thing. Now it's just regular seats compared to, now the AMCs have really comfy seats, but I kind of hate the AMCs. They're kind of too comfy, the big seats. Indie Phantom, it's like the film festivals. I used to go to Toronto and Montreal Fest with my dad, and we looked forward to it. Couldn't get me near those now. Pure propaganda and maybe the wokest environment. Yeah, in terms of the wokeness factor, yeah, I can't really tell you for sure because I stopped going into Philly. I stopped going to Art House because I found other ways to find it. I mean, once you can get this stuff on the internet, why am I going to drive all the way to Philly for it? That's part of the reason, like, I think the hipsters, people who live in cities and whatnot, they kind of don't understand what the change in our culture has happened. What has happened is, it used to be, back in the 70s and 80s, when you went outside the city, there was no live theater. There was definitely no art house kind of movies. You had mainstream movies, and that was about it. And mostly people watched TV and football and whatever. You had to go to New York to see a play, or Philadelphia to see a real play, and to see opera, to see all these things. Now you don't have to do that. The internet has brought all that to me right in my computer, just like they've brought you here tonight for this show. So when you're talking about a film festival, what the hell? What am I paying for to go to a film festival? It's not the same, I can dig down into the internet and find a bunch of crazy films. I'm a subscriber to Alter and Dust and a couple other channels on YouTube. They just show short films all day. That's all they do is make short, crazy films. It's like having a film festival whenever I want. I got Netflix. They have the Robots TV show. They got a bunch of other shows. It's all here. Now, some of it's not as good, and, because it's corporate and it gets a little more watered down, but there's so much of it. And the film festivals and these other things, they just aren't what they used to be. They're just not. People aren't putting their effort there. They're putting their effort on the internet more. And so when you find a gem on the internet, that's where stuff happens. So you don't need to go anywhere anymore. You don't need to go in New York or Philly. I can go to Hamilton, New Jersey. They have 2 live theaters now. 2. Hamilton used to be a pretty backwood country bunkin' kind of place when I was a kid. It's the blueberry capital of the world. There's a lot of blueberry farms out there. Now it's got 2 live theaters, a wine bar, all kinds of fabulous restaurants. It's a scene. There's a scene in Hamilton. I would rather go to Hamilton because I can park for nothing and I can hang out there all day, and it's a great day. And there's cool stuff to do. I can do the cultural stuff. I can go get blueberries. I can do whatever I want. Go to New York, it's already costing me $50 to get to the damn city. On top of the fact there's all this crime and whatnot, but it just costs me $50 just to walk in the door. And what am I getting? Nothing. And then I have to start spending money. Screw that. Oh, well, I missed a million of them. Whoa. They took out the Super Comfy seats, says Indie Phantom of my local cinema, when they renovated, probably because the people would just sit in them without paying for an upgrade. Even the horror section at TIFF went full woke, like Fangoria magazine. The films discussed always from like a queer, gendered, or racial perspective. Yeah, the internet pretty much killed the need for festivals. Yeah, and all this queer, gendered, racial stuff. Go to X, type in Book Recs, BOOKRECS, and look at all the people asking for book recs. They're all women, and they're all asking for queer, gender, non-binary stuff. Like, I troll those hashtags to find people looking for book recs, and then I recommend them the Pineys. They are looking for the craziest stuff. These are women who read nonstop, queer romances all day. They can't get enough of them. It's kind of like some guys with porn. And again, it's all internet nonsense, and it's all super woke. These people aren't. I don't know what these people are going to do when they finally burn out on this stuff, and they will burn out on it. Number one, there's just not enough of it, and number two, I can't imagine it makes enough money. I mean, look at all the stuff they made that's woke, films and TV shows and stuff. I don't see them making money. I don't see how this can be sustained. Even the fact that you push this for years and years and years doesn't mean you generated an audience for it. In fact, you probably did the opposite. What little audience you had, you probably burned out on this stuff. They all jumped ship. The only people who are left are the sheep who just go for anything that's popular. And the moment this stuff isn't popular, and we're at that moment, they're out. They'll move on to the next popular thing, whatever it is. God willing, the Pineys. Alex Ogle, the artsy cinema near me has the lovely old cinema feel with the ETH snacks and seats. The trouble is that the town is comfortable liberal majority at the federal level and NDP at the provincial. Well, I don't know what to say to that. We did have a lovely old cinema when I went to college in Ithaca. Ithaca, New York had the State Theater. And let me tell you, this is the nicest theater ever. It was ginormous. I mean, I've never seen a theater this big. It was so big, they split the balcony and the main theater into 2 theaters. So the balcony was a theater. That's how big the balcony was. They somehow, blocked it off and then put a screen. And man, that place was nice. The ceiling went on forever and had all kinds of crazy ornate stuff on it. Uh, I would love to see movies there again. But yeah, I mean, the experience in a cinema is just, it's just not there. It just sucks. Everything sucks now with movie theaters. Everything. They're all exactly the same. They're all corporate. They're all like, 18-year-old kids behind the counter making the popcorn, doing the food, which I only trust up to a point. It's super overpriced, and it's just a terrible experience. If one thing was good in that experience, like if the movies were good, I'd tolerate it. If the food was better, I might tolerate it. If the prices were cheaper, I might tolerate it. But everything is working against it. LeMay, one film festival winning film was about an odd creature coming into a woman's house, plugging itself in, and using up her internet. She wants to get rid of it, but everyone says she can't. It was about abortion. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Alex Ogle, I can see the wokeness in all the locals. It's like one of these creatures that attaches itself to the shoulders of people in Babylon 5. It's funny, you both were sort of on that same wavelength for a moment about weird creatures. I don't know. I'm in South Jersey, so wokeness is fairly limited here, even though I'm in New Jersey. The wokeness tends to come from the north, where they're pretty woke. Down here, they just kind of shrug their shoulders and go, "What?" And again, like all this wokeness stuff is going away. It's finally here, the moment where the culture will just shift to the point where, anyone who does that kind of behavior will just be openly mocked and shamed, and they just won't do it anymore. They'll just say, "Oh, I don't do that. I never did that. Oh, I thought you hated Trump and wanted trans people to use the bathroom." No, I didn't. That's all. That's what they'll do. They'll just go with whatever the thing of the moment is, because that's why they got into it in the first place. 90% of them. Now, there's a handful of people who actually believe in all the woke crap they've been fed. Those people are in for a tough life, I would say. And you could usually tell them they're the people still wearing masks, if you can imagine. I can't believe people are still wearing masks, but once in a while they appear on screen and I go, "What?" They're wearing a mask for real and they're legit. I feel very sad for them. Once in a while I see one at an event. I see a lot of people at the event. I won't say which one, but I went to further north than I normally go. There were a few people, and this was an outside event, and they were wearing masks. They were wearing masks outside. This was an open park we were in. Way open. Windy, beautiful weather. It was sunny. There is not a chance in hell any germs would jump from one person to another in this environment, as long as you stayed, as long as you weren't like face to face with them. Come on. This stuff is basic science. You're talking about, germs that you'd have to cough into somebody's mouth and be very sick for it to transmit. And these people are wearing masks like, "Oh my God, we're all going to die." And it's not like they're healthy. They're fat. A lot of these people are very fat. And it's not wrong with being fat. I'm kind of fat, but geez, these people are morbidly obese wearing a mask. It's like, dude, you don't know anything about health. Look at you. Indie Phantom, I probably see a mask a day outside. Some of the workers at the grocer too. That's crazy. Now, workers, you never know. They might have been pushed into it by the management somehow, especially like, people who handle food. But, I don't mind if my waiter or my cook has a mask on. I don't want them to spit my food. I'm fine with that. But, some dude is just walking around outside, like outside, Like, even during the height of the pandemic, I took off my mask when I went outside. I'd be like, oh, thank God. And I was on board for a lot of that early on. Um, but geez, outside, even I knew outside you'd be fine. And then My Mother's Wedding, that's a Scarlett Johansson movie. Elio somehow still in theaters, $5,000. And Eden, oh my God, that's Eden. In its third week, it only made 2,000. Oh, well, it's only in 15 theaters. Oh, they're already taking it out of theaters. Holy crap, this movie's cooked. I don't know what it made. Oh, 1.5 million in the U.S. I can't imagine it made anything outside the U.S. Yeah, that movie's cooked. There, 1.5 million won't even cover Sydney Sweeney's, you know, rides back and forth from the set. JEC, I think that one girl at the grocery store wears a mask because she's pretty and she's S of guys hitting on her. Oh, she's sick of guys hitting on her. Indie fandom, eat him tank. Yeah, it certainly looks that way. So the box office was 122 million. 83 million of that was The Conjuring. So 2/3 of that was one movie, and the rest is on everything else. It's ridiculous. Some of these movies shouldn't even be on the list, quite frankly. Yeah, it's like over a 2/3 of the box office this week is The Conjuring, and this is the last movie. You say? You better call up Patrick Wilson and that chick, whoever she is, and say, maybe we'll do another movie. Indie Phantom, Linda beats Eden. I kind of want to see Linda. It'd probably be a tough movie to see, though, because of the plot, where the girls are Korean or the girls are Japanese, and the Korean girl's trying to learn Japanese. So you're probably missing half the jokes. Indie Phantom, why are people paying to see Hamilton? I don't know. I don't know why people paid to see Wicked. I really don't know why people went to go pay to see for the musical of The Color Purple. Remember that? They made a musical of that. So they had a book and they made a movie. Then they made a musical based on, I think, the movie. Then they made a movie based on the musical. And then I assume a comic book and an action figure. Like, what? Who the heck? I don't know. I don't know why anybody would pay to see Hamilton. Like, I understand why you go to a live theater show, right? Everything's better live. You got performers and they're singing. I took a girl on a date one time in Philadelphia. I had no idea what the play was. What was it called? I think it was called James Joyce's Burning, and So Is Paris. It was an original play and musical. And it was about a bunch of characters in an insane asylum. And then one of them believes they're James Joyce's daughter, I think. Anyhow, it wasn't a great play or musical, but the cool thing about it was the cast played multiple characters and they played multiple instruments. And they sang, and so they were all very talented. So they kept switching off on things, and you'd be like, whoa, now there's another song, and oh, that guy's playing the trombone now, and like, what? So, I can understand the appeal of live theater and that, because even though I didn't understand half the play, I did enjoy the experience. It was a good experience, but you don't get that in a movie. It's flat, it's on the screen. That's why everybody made fun of Rocky Horror, because they shot it, it was a play and a musical, and then they shot it as a movie, and the timing of it just doesn't work as a movie. It's mostly inside. They had to come up with ways to open the movie up. That's what happens in a play. Like, the play only takes place in like 3 or 4 locations inside, typically. So then when you transfer it into a movie, you have to come up with ways. Well, we got to try to make the movie bigger looking so it looks like a movie. So that's why in Rocky Horror they show you Brad and Janet driving and being outside and breaking down in the car, which is something I believe in the play they only they make mention of, but you don't actually see it. Although maybe you do, I don't know. Indie Phantom, yeah, nothing against live theater, but that version of Hamilton was available free on Disney Plus for years. It was? Hamilton is also woke as F, so it triggers me. I can imagine the guy who wrote it's woke as F. He's the same guy who wrote the West Side Story that Spielberg shot, right? I mean, I think that's the same guy. And he wokeified that. A woke side story, I think. I believe they somehow tried to push a trans character in West Side Story. Like, they couldn't explicitly say they were trans, but that was sort of that was the message, I believe. All right, let's see what's happening in the trades over at Fandapulse. Not So Based Con, the unhinged behavior of sci-fi author Robert Chris. I don't know who that is. Indie Phantom, Rocky Horror, Meatloaf was cool. That's the only thing I ever thought he was cool in. I always thought Meatloaf was lame, but I liked him in Rocky Horror. I love his song in Rocky Horror. He's great at it. Indie Phantom, yeah, that Hamilton was put up on Disney Plus in 2021 during lockdown. Crazy. The meta as story from dead media to parasocial myths. Okay, Phantom Pulse is getting very philosophical of late. Not a lot of news, more like, hey, this is my opinion kind of thing. Exclusive interview. Behind the scenes of Triumph of the Heart, filmmaker reveals miracles, Marian devotion, and hope from Saint Maximilian Kolbe's story. So yeah, they crowdfunded this movie. It looks decent enough. I mean, for a crowdfunder, it looks pretty impressive. So it takes place during the big war. I think they are pushing it here because I think it has some religious themes. Alex, modern movie pitch. Here we go. Rocky Horror remake. Not a comedy musical, but a hard-hitting documentary where the trans cast of aliens battle local attitudes and everyone ends up unalive. Yeah, that sounds dark, dude. Marvel Comics editor declares the adoption of AI art to be inevitable. I think it is. I mean, yeah. I don't think that's such a controversial statement. Now, should they? Probably not. I probably am not going to read an AI comic anytime soon. You would really have to work on it. See, the problem with AI, at least as it is now, you can't really make a good story. It won't even copy the characters from panel to panel consistently. Not in the ones I tried. So I don't know how you're going to use it for a comic. I mean, the character has to look the same panel to panel, or else people will be, what? Where is that the same guy? Alex Ogle, Richard O'Brien wrote Rocky Horror. He's woke, but a top entertainer for it. LeMay, yeah, JDA has been getting into religious philosophy recently. Yeah, it really shows. Alex Ogle, actually, no, I'm just kidding. Actually, my movie pitch is pretty much the plot of the original, but we need to make the characters more on the nose, and also the cast can't sing. Well, maybe we can get back the cast from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They couldn't sing during their damn musical episode. Oh, God, I hate that episode so much. So much. Let's see. What else? Civilization 7 developer has laid off a bunch of people. It looked like they went woke too. Not sure why. They made Harriet Tubman one of the characters, one of the leaders for America. One of the options, which is weird. Like Harriet Tubman, sure, she is an important figure in history, and you could even drill down in history and alternate histories, and somehow she becomes leader of some country. But kind of, if you're going to do that, you really have to include way too many people in the alternate timelines, because I wrote a lot of alternate timeline stuff. Once you start doing it, right? I mean, you're doing stuff in Civilization from caveman times. I mean, you could easily branch off and there's no Roman Empire. So how are you even going to do that? You wouldn't be able to address all the variations. So I think you're drilled down too far, Civilization. LeMay, my problem with AI is being spammed with AI slop. I'm okay with it being used as a tool and search engine. As a search engine, it's kind of annoying me because it's almost like YouTube, I think, is using it. I'm not sure of that, but that's my guess. Because now, when I search for something on YouTube, so like the other day, and this happened on the search engine too that had AI. The other day, I'm searching for something in for the Pineys, and so I can't tell you too much, but I needed information on a particular town in South Jersey and a particular group of people who lived during a particular group of time, I'll say. It's not the Pineys, it's some other people, but it was a profession. So I logged in and I put in the name of the town, but there's another town in Maryland with the same name. So I had to put New Jersey, and then I put the occupation of the person, and then I put the events that I was looking for. And I knew this was part of the history, but the AI kept giving me the same wrong results over and over again. Every time I put in the name of the town, it connected back to the wrong results, which connected into the town and events going on in the town. And I didn't want the current events. I needed events that had happened back in the past. And man, it was frustrating. But I eventually broke through by changing up my search terms, and I found an angle to not use the town name to get at what I wanted. And then I found that I had gotten the wrong information from the AI. Surprise, surprise. And yeah. So you got to confirm everything you get from the AI. So it's been very sloppy for me as well. Alex Ogle, AI should never be used to generate anything, and it should be only used to search with extreme caution. It is best as an adaptive filter on a highly curated data set. Remember, it is not AI, but a probabilistic language model. And the only other thing is Angel Studios and Wonder Project reveal first look at young Washington. This is exciting to me. I think I want to see this because I'm a big history buff and I love George Washington. He was a messenger. I believe they called him the bulletproof messenger or something like that. He was a messenger in his younger days before the Revolutionary War, and they had tried to kill him multiple times. And in fact, I believe this was during the French Indian War. I think on 23 separate occasions, they tried to kill Washington. And sometimes he came back with like bullet fragments in his hair, and he had holes in his jacket, but he never got shot. He had 2 mounts shot out from under him, never got shot. And it was so crazy that there was an Indian chief who tried to kill him during the war. And after the war, he was dying. And he told the tribe that his last request was to meet Washington. So they took the old Indian chief to meet Washington, and Washington was there, just kind of like, "Why'd you want to meet me?" And he told him, like, "I just wanted to meet the man we couldn't kill, because I eventually told my braves to stop wasting their ammo on you." And and he said, "The Great Spirit watches over you." Like, he just knew Washington had some crazy amount of luck. And it's kind of a crazy story. So I'm looking forward to that. Alex Ogle, so-called AI is either language model or machine learning filter. It is not AI. Alex Ogle, so Washington was the American Rasputin. That explains a lot. No, they never hurt him. Like Rasputin, they shot and stabbed and poisoned and threw him in the river. He got up and I think Rasputin was a demon, that guy. He was also incredibly messed up and an awful person. Washington was the opposite. He was like super honorable. He just was super lucky. He also appears in book 17 of the Pineys, where he's a badass. LeMay, that does sound cool. Yeah, so apparently Angel Studios is doing a whole thing on it. All right, getting into variety. Here is The Conjuring movie. Talking about that. Now, Donald Trump got a mixture of boos and applause at the U.S. Open, but of course, Variety says Donald Trump booed at U.S. Open men's final match. Now, technically, that's true. He was booed, but he was also applauded. But apparently, there's a lot of liberals at the U.S. Open, and so they thought it would be cool at a tennis match to boo the President of the United States. I'm sure they would have done the same thing to Obama or Biden, and they would have been fine with it. So here is the MTV VMAs. Can you believe they're still doing this? I didn't even know these people, I don't think. Oh, that's Ariana Grande. Someone get her a sandwich. I guess that's Sabrina Carpenter? Uh-huh. Who's this chick? She is okay, I guess. Not really into her. Sabrina, out of the three, Sabrina's probably the best, I would guess. But even she looks weird. LL Cool J is hosting this year's show? Are you kidding me? LL Cool J? All right. There's Sabrina Carpenter. Ariana Grande. Doja Cat. Oh, that's Doja Cat. Yeah, she looks okay, I guess. I don't know. She looks like she's trying too hard. Am I crazy? Doja Cat trying too hard in that outfit. Trying to look sexy. LeMay, female rapper. That's a weird outfit. Tate McRae. I have no idea who that is. She looks like she's in her underwear. And she basically is. Jeez. Look at that see-through. Can you see that? She's just got panties on and a see-through bottom. Jesus. Ricky Martin. Okay. I know who that is. Rebecca Black. I think I've heard that name. What kind of outfit is this? Did you find a credenza and steal the doily that was on top of it? What is this? I don't understand what that is. Gabby Windy. I have no idea who that is. Taylor Momsen. Looks like she's doing a lot of drugs, I would guess. But maybe that's just the makeup. She's got great abs. Somber. I don't know who that is. LeMay. Oh, the Friday Song Girl. Ashley Simpson. I think I've heard of her. Thea Boysen and Mr. Beast? Mr. Beast was there? Well, now I know it isn't cool. And Thea's got a see-through dress as well. Jesus. I mean, why don't the girls just show up naked at this point? Lenny Kravitz is still going to this thing? What is he, like 50? And then LL Cool J, who's got to be... How old are these guys? If I know their names... They're old. Jay Blavin, no idea. Brittany Snow and Malene Ackerman. Malene Ackerman used to be on Adult Swim, Children's Hospital, and she was a female comedic actress. But then she got into some more serious roles, I guess, changed her career around. And I don't know. I don't know how she's at the VMAs. Did she do something that I'm not aware of? Probably. I have no idea who Brittany Snow is. The Jersey Shore cast? Oh boy, where'd you dig these guys up? It doesn't even look like all of them. What happened to Snooki? Nikki Glazer. Now her I've heard of. Damn, she's looking fine, I gotta say. Again, see-through body thing and a bikini on underneath. Might as well just wear a bikini. Female comedian. And really, this body thing really distracts from your face, Nikki, so that's good. Ty Dolla Sign. I have no idea who that is. Conan Gray, who looks like... What the F is he wearing? What is this dude even wearing? He's like wearing like a sailor boy outfit with a dress? What is this? Indie Phantom. Kanye's woman went full Monty on the red carpet. All right. FKA Twigs. I've actually heard of this name. I've never seen the person. She looks like she just got up. Sexy Red. Carrying a whip for some reason. Landon Barker and Skylar Sanders. I have no idea. Justine Skye. Well, she looks very good. I would say that's a... See, this is the kind of outfit I would expect on someone at an award show who looks pretty glamorous. She looks good. Indie Phantom. Brittany Snow is a forgotten actress. That dude is trying to be the next Ezra Miller. Oh, God. Oh, maybe this guy is Youngblood. Danzig called. He wants his attitude back. All right, and that's it. Whew. I'm glad I don't waste my time on the VMAs anymore. Indie Phantom. Never heard of Justine Skye, but very nice dress. Yeah, I mean, she looks good. What else? Epic. Elvis Presley in concert review. I don't care about that. Doja Cat goes totally 80s to open VMAs with Kenny G. Kenny G? Okay. Rick Davies, Supertramp co-founder who wrote and sang Bloody Well Right and Goodbye Stranger, dies at 81. Oh, no. No, that's sad. Indie Phantom, where the hell do music videos even play now? I don't know. I miss MTV. I used to watch MTV all the time. Back in the 80s, it was cool. Oh, they had all sorts of crazy bands who made videos simply because they desperately needed videos and most of the other bands didn't make them. LeMay at Indie Phantom YouTube. Yeah. Let's see. Anything else worth talking about here? Teen Titans actor Greg Sipes says he was fired by Warner Brothers after revealing Parkinson's diagnosis. It's like a death to me. Oh, that's a shame. Is he the voice of, what's the name? Beast Boy? He's been doing that gig for a long time. How can you fire him like that just because he has Parkinson's? He can still talk. Well, that's not right, in my view. After Conjuring's last rites, Warner Brothers makes box office history with 7 consecutive movies opening above 40 million. Well, good for Warner Brothers. At least they're doing kind of well. It doesn't seem like they're doing well, does it? It doesn't seem like movies are doing well, but maybe Warner Brothers is at the top of the S heap. Indie Phantom. In Canada, we had much music. Didn't take too long for that to come crashing down. Might have been the first woke cable channel. Huh, I never heard of that. In South Jersey, back in the 80s, when MTV was at its absolute peak, we had an alternate local music channel that would play nothing but music videos. Like, they didn't have DJs. It just had music videos. I'm not sure how they made any money, quite frankly. But when I was down the shore on vacation during that era, I would always put it on. Indie Phantom, that box office report sounds like Cope spin. Yeah, it really does. We had 7 consecutive movies open for $40 million. Oh, what happened to all your other movies? Did we say we had 7 consecutive movies open above 40 million? Sam Raimi involved in the rebooting of Magic, the 1978 forerunner to the Killer Doll cult classics, which starred a pre-Hannibal Anthony Hopkins. I remember this movie, unfortunately. Indie Phantom, Much Music was the starting place of John Roberts, who ended up the Fox White House correspondent for a while. I remember John Roberts. That's crazy. So, Magic had this really messed up trailer from 1978. So, I can't play it for you, obviously. No, I can't play it. It has music on it, or else I would play it. I would totally play it for you. It's hilarious. So if you get a chance, do a search for Magic 1978 and see the trailer, because it's the ventriloquist dummy talking and saying this weird rhyme. It's kind of creepy and kind of stupid at the same time. Indie Phantom, Magic has a creepy trailer. Movie is not great. Yeah, no, it's terrible, I think. But it's about like a ventriloquist and his dummy. Like, I don't think the dummy comes to life. It just like makes him crazy. It's weird they're rebooting it. I hope they put Anthony Hopkins in it just so he can roll his eyes and go, oh God, why are they remaking this? This was big news this week. Universal Pictures Knight Rider reveal is tied to a shared universe that will include Airwolf and the $6 Million Man. So apparently Universal is all in on the franchise from the 80s, and it's going to be these 3 things and whatever else they have the rights to, I guess. Probably the Bionic Woman. They have that, I assume. There was a Bionic Boy. What else would they have? I don't know. But a BJ and the Bear, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I watched 3 or 4 episodes of Knight Rider. I thought they were all the same, and they were all pretty stupid. $6 Million Man was cool. That was the first out of those. I think that came first. That was a cool show. It had some cool ideas. You know, they didn't back then. It was all like it was all formatted like a soap opera a lot of times. But the fembots were the creepiest things in that show. They were evil androids that had infiltrated the $6 Million Man's organization, which was run by Oscar Goldman. That was the character's name. Oscar Goldman was like the head of the agency or whatever the $6 Million Man was a part of. Oh, and Bigfoot. Bigfoot's in the universe, in the $6 Million Man universe, because there's a big Bigfoot episode, and they become friends. So I hope Bigfoot's in this. Bigfoot versus Airwolf. Come on, Bigfoot! Grab the helicopter! We gotta get out of here! Oh, and the A-Team. You gotta put the A-Team in this. They tried to do the A-Team or redo the A-Team. That was a disaster, kind of. Ugh. Yeah, they shouldn't do that. Should do something new. Hollywood Reporter. Good Fortune Review. Keanu Reeves plays an inept guardian angel in Aziz Ansari's alternately fun and clunky satire. I want to see this for Aziz because I do think he's funny. And I think he got a raw deal. I do like Keanu Reeves. I kind of hate Seth Rogen now, but I'll kind of tolerate him for this movie. But we'll see. Ansari's featured directorial debut revolves around a gig worker and a venture capitalist who swap lives. Alex Ogle, what about Automan or Manimal? I forgot about those. They should be in it too. Indie Phantom, I loved The Bionic Woman as a kid while my friends were fapping to Charlie's Angels. I went for Thinking Man's Sex Bot. Indie Phantom, Fembots of Las Vegas was awesome. They were the first women to frighten me. Yeah, so Good Fortune, I'm a little on the fence about it, but it could be good. What else we got here? Oh, here's Task. So, Task Boss entertains a Mayor of Easttown crossover. All right. So, I guess they work on both of them. So, you might see a crossover in the future. Good for you. Should do more of those, quite frankly. On TV when the show is new, not when it's like Airwolf. What else? AMC theaters offer horror fans cost-saving slash pass. Time to The Conjuring of the Last Rites. Oh, let's see this. Ooh, maybe I'll get 10 cents back. For $66.66, moviegoers can see 6 films participating in the limited time program between now and the end of the year, including over Halloween. Okay, so 6 movies at $66.666. So that would be $11.11 for every movie. It doesn't seem like you're saving all that much money, and you have to see them within a certain time. Doesn't seem like you're seeing, So here are the movies on the list: The Conjuring, Last Rites, The Long Walk, Him, The Strangers Chapter 2, and Good Boy, Shelby Oaks, and Bone Lake. And then, there's a bunch. So there's a bunch. Black Phone 2, Eli Roth presents Dreamwater Halloween double feature, Hollow Road and Vincent Must Die, Keeper, Five Nights at Freddy's. AMC's Slash Pass can be redeemed for a handful of classic horror titles, returning to more than 200 AMC locations this October. They include A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Candyman, Scream, and Terrifier. Yeah, I still don't see... I don't see how much money you're saving. Indie Phantom, the math is confusing. Sounds like you could easily end up paying for more than you see. The Long Woke with Mark Hamill. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Everybody's raving about that short story. I think they're really setting themselves up for a fall. The one in this list that I want to see is called Good Boy. It's a horror movie from the point of view of a dog. And the dog is like the hero. He's trying to save his master for some evil entity. They say it's a horror comedy, but I kind of like the idea. I think the idea has got cool stuff you could do. But yeah, 6 films for $66.66. It's $11.11 a film. That's, what are you saving, like $2? $3 maybe? Doesn't seem like you're saving much. Yeah. Like, if you made each movie $6.66, then you'd be saving some money. You know, if you did it that way, and then you buy 10 passes for 10 movies. 10 passes for 10 movies, it's $6.66. It would be about the same. Yeah, it'd be $6.66. Well, that would be fewer movies, wouldn't it? Now I'm screwing up the math. Yeah, this is only 6 films. It should be 10 films. It should be 10. It should be, you pay $666.66, and you get to see 13 movies. Would be ideal, but that's kind of too low. But $6.66, that's enough that it would cover their cost and make them a little bit of money, and then they pre-sell them, and then people won't use half of them. People won't go see 10 movies. Alex Ogle, talking of dog entertainment, has little Joan done her edgy comedy bit yet? Has she made her usual colorful jokes about noticing? No. She is asleep. She is very asleep. But let's, speaking of that, I'm out of iced tea, so let me go take care of that now. Joan, you want to take over? Go ahead, Joan. Entertain the troops. I'll be right back. There we go. Now I got some tea. Oh my goodness, sorry about that. I'm going to put on a fan too. It's hot in here. They're noticing a little too much. But yeah, so it should be 10 movies. AMC. You cheap bastards, in my view. Let's see. Anything else here? Wednesday, how a zombie and his creation made it to the Netflix series. Wednesday, I'll say it again. I don't think Wednesday's a good show. I saw that trailer and I'm like, meh. Bleeding Fool. Ranking Ivan Reitman films, if you have any interest of that. Legal Eagles, I remember that. The paper review. This is the new Office spinoff. I don't know, man. At least it has Oscar in it, but Oscar wasn't exactly the funniest guy in the old Office. But I guess it doesn't appear to have the Michael Scott type character. Like, this guy's too nice out the gate. So these are various characters. I don't know. Just because you have a character and an idea doesn't mean they're good. You know, you have to get, and I don't see, are any of these people comedians? I don't recognize any of them, but I'm a little out of the loop. I mean, Oscar kind of is. Indie Phantom, Burton has lost it. Wasn't his biggest fan anyway. Yeah, it's just not, Wednesday is just, I don't like it. It's too close to Hogwarts. I don't know why they went in that direction. Well, I kind of know why, because it's like Harry Potter. But I miss the old show. John Astin, for my money, is pound for pound the greatest Gomez Addams ever. He's so great. That old show, John Astin, you could watch him all day. You could have just watched the Gomez show. He was so damn funny. Indie Phantom, why does Hollywood still think newspapers are relevant? Well, that's like, they think it's a funny idea, right? So the idea is that the newspaper is dying and these people are there to save it, because that was sort of part of the premise in The Office, because they're a paper company and they're dying too, right? Like Dunder Mifflin was kind of dying and kind of outdated, and you had this Michael Scott character who just, everything was about, you know, his job. Alex Ogle at Indie Phantom, because they need them to be. It's just, the thing is, that wasn't the premise of The Office. The premise of The Office is Michael Scott, or Ricky Gervais's guy from the original of The Office, is the boss, but he's super inappropriate, like uncomfortably inappropriate. Now, Michael Scott was more of like a nice, inappropriate guy, and like Ricky Gervais's guy was actually kind of deep down super insecure and mean. But the Michael Scott character was, you know, in his own way, he was just sort of bumbling, but he was just kind of funny because Steve Carell, it was a tour de force for Steve Carell and some of the other cast members. This doesn't look like that at all. The only funny character in this cast is this woman in red. She's the one who's like way over the top. All the other characters look boring. And then maybe Oscar. Like Oscar's doing his Oscar. You know, he's doing the same character. But Oscar was always like, he was always a side character. He was just there to react. So you need characters that are going to be like out of their minds. And it should be the boss, because that's what made The Office work. He was the boss, and he was allowing things in the office you cannot allow in an office. And he was like an impetulant child. Like, one of the best bits on the show was how much he hated Toby. He just hated him, and was totally open in saying it, but like, that's completely inappropriate in a corporate setting. But for whatever reason, they kept making him. Oh, okay. And then here we go. We got to talk about Doomsday. I don't know how much you want to talk about this. I did a whole video on it. Alex Ogle, the purpose of the original Office was to cash in on the genre of car crash TV mockumentaries as pioneered by Alan Partridge and Mrs. Merton, both played by insufferably woke comedians. That too. Rumored Doctor Doom plot twist for Avengers Doomsday has fans rolling their eyes. I'm not surprised. Alex Ogle, Alan Partridge. Alan Partridge was very funny. I did enjoy. Steve Coogan, amazingly talented, but also insufferably woke. Like, super uber woke. Like, he's finally reached he's so talented, but I think he's finally reached a point where his wokeness is now destroying his comedy. He's now serious actor too, I think. Indie Phantom, Doomsday appears to be accurate title. All right, place your bets on what the hell this latest revelation is. If I understand correctly, Steve, going back in time to be with Peggy, created the incursions that killed Dr. Doom's family. Now Dr. Doom is hunting Steve to kill him for what he did. manipulating everyone in his path to achieve it. That sounds really, really stupid. I don't know how the hell does that even work? Jesus. The alleged rewrite in Avengers Doomsday strips away that depth. If true, it sounds less like Doom and more like Tony Stark reimagined with a grudge. The detail only fuels speculation that Robert Downey Jr.'s rumored return will not be as Iron Man, but a variant version of Doctor Doom. Yeah, that would be the only thing that made sense, unless he never shows his face, but he kind of already did in some of the ads. So, in the original comics, of course, Dooms comes from Latveria, where he loses his mother to a pact with Mephisto and his father to the frozen countryside. Those losses drive him to master science and sorcery, making him one of the most complex characters in the Marvel Universe. He's the man in the iron mask. That's what he is. Indie Phantom, I don't even understand the plot line at all. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. How would he know? If Steve Rogers changes the timeline so somebody dies, how would you know? How would you understand that? You would have to be outside the timeline and watching him do that to go, oh, that guy, he just killed my family. Yeah, it sounds stupid. But it could be, disinformation, like purpose disinformation to throw fans off the trail, but it sounds just stupid enough that they would do it. So, I don't know how they're going to jam 60 characters into this movie. I still don't. Doesn't make any sense. If it goes across 2 movies in the Secret Wars, maybe then you could say, okay, you have 10 characters in the first movie that set up all the things in the second movie, or maybe you have 30 characters in the first movie and then they show up in the second movie. I don't know. How do you not have the Guardians of the Galaxy? How do you not have all the characters? Doesn't make any sense. But, okay, Marvel. Okay, guys who think you can suck everybody back into this. I can absolutely wait for this to hit streaming. I'll wait for the nerds to weigh in. I'm sure Neurotic will go see it. Let's see. Disney got hit with a $10 million fine for mishandling children's data. Oh no. Comics legend Frank Miller, amidst defeat, bends knee to the left. How? Down the Tubes gave some coverage of Miller's trip to a convention in Dublin, Ireland, where his recent documentary, American Genius, was screened, and his 2011 graphic novel, Holy Terror, is also brought up, which he may have otherwise disowned, in a very sad example of capitulation several years back. Most eyebrow-raising here is that he actually raises the issue of censorship. Okay. Censorship always achieves the opposite of what it intends to do. Yes. Frank then reflected on his entering the film business and how he's working on RoboCop 2, and he said, I convinced myself this thing would be this thing that was going to win an Oscar, and how it was brilliant and he could fix it in editing, how I'd been convinced that something was brilliant that wasn't that good. I think you need to look at, what's the name? What was it? The Spirit? I think that's the movie you went nuts on. I hear that's unwatchable. Look, I think Frank Miller is a genius, but like all geniuses, he's a little bit tough to handle and a bit volatile. I mean, good for him getting a documentary about himself, I guess. It just feels weird that he's, going to Dublin, Ireland to promote it. I'd feel weird promoting a movie about me. Wouldn't you feel weird going to Oh, we're screening that movie about you. We want you to come and promote it. You're gonna see a lot of me in the movie. I don't think I need to be there, right? Am I crazy to say that? Um, but oh well. Why is DC still pushing an Amanda Waller TV series? Because they want Viola Davis on in their mix. Viola Davis is a big enough name, probably got the right agent, probably connected to the right people. This is the character they gave her, and so they think this can work because she's a big name, is my guess. But that's not what the Suicide Squad is about. The show should be Suicide Squad. If you want to do a Suicide Squad show, oh, that could work 100% and make her the star. You know, do Suicide Squad starring Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. She'd be the main character, kind of. I mean, there'd be a bunch of other characters in it, but she'd be in it all the time, kind of as a villain. But, you know, I don't want to hear about her home life. I don't want to hear any of that crap. She's kind of an a-hole. So, oh, here it is. Sisu, Road to Revenge. Red Band trailer is out, and it looks pretty awesome. Oh boy, I can't wait. I can't wait. I hope they come up with a reason to do a third one. I really do. All right, Deadline. Sydney Sweeney is playing a boxer. Let's see if they have a picture of it. That's her right there. Let me see if there's a better picture. No. That's her as a boxer, everybody. So the most beautiful woman in Hollywood, they uglied her up so she could play a boxer and get her face punched in a movie. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Hey, what should we do with this hot blonde? Oh yeah, put her in a movie where she gets her face punched in and she's kind of chunky. We have other movies with, where she'll wear hot outfits and fall in love. Nah. I think the boxing movie is the way to go. Make sure she gets hit in the face. Makes no sense. Now, it might be partly on her, like, oh, I'm going to be an actress. You can be a serious actress and be in stuff that you're not all chunky and sweaty and looking 30 pounds heavier. I don't know why she would agree to do this. It's too early. Like, if she did this in, I'd say 10 years, okay. 10 years, she'd be like in her late 30s, pushing starting to push it with the sexy stuff. Yeah, then you could ugly yourself up and be a boxer. Who cares? Not when you're in the prime of your looks. What are you doing? I don't understand. Indie Phantom, that will bomb. Sweeney has done plenty of these no glam falls already. Or fails. This one, though, is particularly not glamorous, I would say. Who else does that all the time? Kristen Stewart does that all the time, too. She likes to be in movies where they ugly her up. Although she's not very good looking in my view, but she can be good looking enough. It's all the same stuff. Josh Gad hopes to film ambitious Chris Farley biopic early 2026. It's just super big. Okay. Who's going to be Chris Farley? It's going to be Paul Walter Hauser? Yeah, I guess he could do it. I guess. Kind of depressing. What doesn't look depressing is the new John Candy documentary. I'm surprised that's not on here somewhere. It's called I Like Me. It was produced by Ryan Reynolds. And he shows up to the premiere in Uncle Buck's car. I think it's Uncle Buck's car. You know, that old green thing Candy drove in some movie. I think it was an Uncle Buck. It was all smoking. It was funny. So that looks cool. He interviews a bunch of people who worked with Candy, and they all like him. So seems. See, here's Deadline covering it. Variety. Trump met with boos and cheers at U.S. Open as broadcasters mute reaction. That makes more sense. Alex Ogle, I wouldn't mind Sweeney sweaty in a role, but for different reasons. Toxic Avenger writer-director Macon Blair hopes to bring back OG characters and cast Melanie Linsky as villain in potential sequel. Are you people serious? Indie Phantom, what is that Toxic Avenger story? Let's take a look. Apparently, they think this is a good thing. I don't see how they could do this. The original Toxic Avengers creator's blessing, Macon Blair, has brought the cult franchise back from its noxious cinema. Dumping grounds. The writer and director of the reboot told Deadline that his love for the franchise started in 7th grade, explaining how it snowballed and being passed the mop to the fresh Toxic Avenger for a new generation now in theaters. Indie Phantom, Jesus, I was joking about this becoming a franchise. I think he wants to do it. How could they do this? How could they greenlight another one of these? Is Peter Dinklage that desperate for money? Indie Phantom, maybe it's just straight to video? Maybe it's just content for Prime or some platform. Still though, it's gotta cost money. Alex Ogle, that's it. Tony's girlfriend can finally tune out. He's burped quite the wet one. Yes. Good night, honey. I don't understand why you would do this. Lloyd Kaufman, who created the franchise in 1984 with the original cult classic, praised Blair's reboot as a beautiful masterpiece after entrusting him with Toxie. There's Peter Dinklage. I mean, the character doesn't even look good. Peter Dinklage is, I'll say it, he's too short, because part of the deal was he was in a pink tutu when he got dumped into toxic waste, so he's still wearing it, running around as the Toxic Avenger. And Dinklage is so short, you can't even really see it. So I don't think that really works. Is that Lloyd Kaufman? I think it is. Yeah, there's Macon Blair and Lloyd Kaufman at Comic-Con. Oh, there's Dinklage. And is that Elijah Wood? Yep, that's him. Okay. Yeah, I don't understand why you think you're doing another one of these. There's Elijah Wood in the movie. Can I see these comments? I'd like to see the comments. Would love to see a second one. Wish they'd done more to get the word out about this one's releasing. A sequel, the current movie is bombing badly. No, it's not. You just don't know how movie finances work. Oh, come on, dude. It lost over 60% of its theaters in its second weekend, which is practically unheard of. By the end of the second weekend, which it's yet to make another $3 million, so please, by all means, enlighten us on finances. Yeah, please enlighten me. How does a movie starring Elijah Wood and Peter Dinklage make $3 million and make money? I don't think you could possibly. Those two actors alone got to cost that much. Or most of it. You had to pay other people. You had to pay the crew. On a movie like that, I mean, the crew would cost $3 million easy. The post-production would cost $3 million. And that's $3 million gross. That doesn't count the half the theater talk. So really, you're only talking $1.5 million. You know, depending on the deal they cut. So be generous, say $1.7 million. You're telling me this movie costs, what did it cost? $200,000? They don't. It's Elijah Wood. He doesn't make a movie like that. Indie Phantom, weirdly, Toxie has also held up for like 3 years. Yeah. Because I think, weren't they redubbing it? Wasn't that one of the reasons it was held up? They redubbed it, and then when they redubbed it, it was a hit. The ironic thing, too, is like, Peter Dinklage already has the Toxic Avenger voice, like the deep voice. So it would have been funny had to cast another actor as Melvin, who gets dumped in the toxic waste, and then he turns into a monster, and then Peter Dinklage does the voice. Like, that, when they announced it, I thought, oh yeah, that makes sense. Peter Dinklage will just do the voice and it'll be funny. But nope. Indie Phantom, it was deemed unreleasable at one point. Yeah, the current one, but not the old one, I don't think. But like all the Trauma films were kind of like that. They were all, again, no actors. Ryan Reynolds laughs off Avengers Doomsday, says he hasn't stepped foot on the set. There's all sorts of rumors floating around. Doomcock had a few rumors that they don't have a script and they're just shooting stuff. They're just shooting scenes and hoping that it'll come together, I guess. And they're furiously working on a script based on the scenes they shot. That's not the way to shoot a movie. You maniacs. Simu Liu upset the Superman sequel came so fast, why Shang-Chi 2 still lacks a launch date. Who the hell wants to see Shang-Chi 2? You unbelievable idiot, in my opinion. I don't think a lot of people want to see Shang-Chi 2. How much money did that movie make? I think it made money. There it is. Did I already look this up? I probably did. Indie Phantom, that idiot thinks there's going to be a Shang-Chi sequel. Did I spell this wrong? Oh, no I. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it looked terrible from what I saw, but it may have made money. But that was back when everything was still making money. Here it is. Yeah, maybe. Okay. So 432 million. Didn't get the release in China. Cost 150. So 300. You're looking at 375. So yeah, might have made some money. Maybe it made 50 million. Okay, so it's in the black. I don't know. Doesn't seem like a good risk to me. I wouldn't make a sequel, but that's just me. Oh shoot. Did I just close the window? I did. I closed the window on one of my tabs. It was a wrap. Not the wrap. There it is. Okay. Let's just go to the wrap. I don't think there was anything left on Cosmic Book News. Nah, they're talking about a Street Fighter movie. I mean, really, who cares? Who cares about Street Fighter? I never cared about Street Fighter. It was always a Mortal Kombat knockoff. I never cared about it. Oh, here's something I got to talk about, and I did a review of this. 28 years later, apparently already has another movie coming out in January. This is nuts. It's called 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Apparently somebody told me this is going to be a trilogy? Are you S-ing me? That the last movie's going to be a trilogy? I thought the whole thing was a trilogy. They're going to do 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Comes out in January. It continues right where the movie left off. Why? Why would you do this? And you're telling me there's a third movie in the works? What? Why? Like, okay, 28 days later, did really well. People liked it. I thought it was okay, mid at best. Wasn't my kind of zombie movie, but I liked Cillian Murphy in it. I think everybody liked him in it. And they liked the bit where he wakes up in the hospital and has to figure everything out. The second, and then it ends in a way that made sense. Like, that movie ends, I didn't like the zombies in it, but it made sense, the end. Like, the zombies are all dying, and now life is returning to normal, it looks like, at the end of the movie. Then they made a second movie, which apparently nobody saw. Somebody told me they nuke Paris off camera in that movie to stop the spread of the virus, and I don't know. Somehow the virus comes back. And then now it's 28 years later and the virus is still kicking around, and it's just kicking around in the UK, and they've cornered off the UK, and they patrol it to make sure nobody gets off the island. Meanwhile, the zombies are still roaming around and people are still alive and they're all dying. It's like, what? And then Ralph Fiennes is the doctor who lives in the Bone Temple. I guess he finally gets infected in that picture. I don't know. But the whole thing seemed insane and stupid to me. So I did not like 28 Years Later, and I will not be seeing 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. The Bone Temple. You're a Bone Temple if you think I'm seeing that. Let's see. And more on Superman, which we don't start talking about Superman. Please don't start talking about Superman sequel yet. More of the same, more of the same. More of the same, more of the same, more of the same. U.S. Open asks broadcasters not to air crowd boos for Trump. Okay, so several different stories coming out of that. Wake Up Dead Man review. Rian Johnson's glorious, goofy, gothic horror is the best Knives Out movie yet. I absolutely do not care. Can't stand Rian Johnson. And I have no interest in seeing his movies. Scarlett Johansson mistook an ancient artifact for something from Home Goods while shooting Eleanor the Great in New York City. Okay. Not sure how that has anything to do with the movie, but good for you shooting a movie, I guess. That Park Place. Tetsuya Nomura gives update on Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 and Kingdom Hearts 4 development. So if you're interested in that. Here's the Good Boy movie. Good Boy brings horror home through the eyes of a dog. I think it looks interesting. Walt Disney World revives airport transportation. Formerly free service now comes at a steep price. Is there anything that Disney's doing that isn't hurting their own business at this point? I mean, you're telling me you had a free service from the airport and now you're going to start charging a lot of money for it? Usually when you go from free to charging something, you say, well, we had to start charging like $1 just to sort of cover our costs. And then you slowly creep it up maybe. Like, how desperate is Disney to make money if they're doing that? If they went from free to, oh, now it's $14. What is it? Yeah, let's see what it is. So remember, it was free. Beginning next Wednesday, August 13th, any guest booked in Deluxe or Deluxe Villa stay will be eligible to book direct minivan transfers to and from MCO directly on the resort hotel. Priced at $199 per direction? The perk, I gotta read the rest of this. The perk was available to anyone staying at Disney Resort before COVID. It returned in a limited capacity exclusively for guests staying at club level in late 2022. $200. You're telling me this thing went from free to $200? That's crazy. That is nuts. And that is a nutty... I mean, Uber's got to be cheaper than that. Has to be. Following its discontinuation, the private operator introduced a paid replacement, Mears Connect, with 2 tiers. Standard service, priced about $16 one way per adult. Well, that sounds reasonable. $32 round trip per adult, plus discounted child fares. Express Premium service was offered at $200 round trip per party, up to 4 passengers. Subsequently, that price rose to about $250 a trip. Thus, the newly introduced minivan service, $199 per direction, marks new premium tier over existing Mears Connect option. Who the hell would pay for this? If you have that kind of money, aren't you renting a car? If I have $200 to spend on one way, I'm going to just rent a car from the airport. I don't even know how much it costs to rent a car per day, but last time I rented a car, I usually got a pretty good deal. But I'm pretty sure I could get it for under $200 a day. I'm pretty sure. And then I could drive wherever I want. I guess I got to pay for parking, but at least I have wheels. An Uber can't cost this much. It absolutely cannot cost this much. To take an Uber from the airport to my hotel, it's got to be under $200. That's crazy. These people are they trying to destroy Disney? I've been saying for years, I think the CCP has infiltrated a lot of these organizations, especially Disney. I think they want to destroy it enough so that Chinese investors can buy it out. That's my theory. Holy cow. Disney's Hollywood studio adds new construction walls as 3/4 of Disney World parks close off large sections behind barriers? Okay. What are they doing? Walt Disney World has a massive construction wall problem with large sections of the park under maintenance or construction. It has closed off large sections of 3 out of the 4 Walt Disney World parks. Have popped up on Disney Hollywood Studios. What the hell are they doing? Wow. Okay. Somebody's effed this up. Indie Phantom sounds like a liberal pandemic fantasy. Yep, everything's closed. Oh, good. We can go back to the hotel room and watch TV. All right, moving on to Breitbart. Nothing really going on. The big news stories. Something about Trump going to England. And entertainment. The big story this week was Graham Linehan was arrested for something he posted on Facebook, if you didn't know. He created the IT crowd. And so he's a pretty big comedic guy in the UK. He says police are slaves to trans activists and free speech is dying. I think it's pretty dead in the UK. But hopefully you guys can bring it back. Oh, he also created Father Ted, which is a classic show if you haven't seen it. I've seen a couple of episodes. And a couple of episodes of the IT crowd. I like both of them. So, I don't know if they're pressing forward with the charges on Graham. I haven't heard an update on that. But I know that he showed up to court with a sandwich sign. Like, if you've ever seen Billboard Chris, he runs around with sandwich signs saying stuff like... you know, the definition of a woman and, you know, stuff like don't put men in women's sports and stuff like that. Graham showed up to court with something similar. I forget what was on his sign. So good on him. He doubled down fast, man. That's what you have to do against these guys. You show them you're not intimidated. Don't bend the knee. Don't bend the knee. And now, unfortunately, there are people on the right who are starting to push the other way. That's going to be a problem in the not too distant future, but right now it's not. But keep an eye out, I think. So yeah. Good on Graham. White House body slammed Stephen King after he said Trump voters will deny voting for him in 20 years. No, I think it's the total opposite. I think in 20 years, you're going to have people who will look back on this era and they will say they voted for Trump or they promoted Trump, and they'll be lying. They'll be 100% lying. They'll be the people who said all sorts of nasty things against Trump supporters and whatnot, and some of them will be called out. Some of them won't. You know, a lot of people never get called out for this stuff because, you know, it's stupid anyway. But yeah, I think it's the total opposite because the trends have changed. The trend's going the other way. And once it hits that other way, all those people, all those woke idiots, and it's a certain level of it. It's just a level of people who go and do things that are popular. That's all they do. Whatever's popular, whatever their friends do, whatever their friends said, whatever their friends think, that's what they think too. They absorb the group think, and then they live that. So right now, and it's slowly morphing over, that's going to be okay to talk about Trump. By the time Trump gets out of office, everybody will be praising him night and day. Oh yeah, I was always a Trump supporter. Oh, I like Trump. I never really said anything bad about him. You watch. It'll be a massive transformation. And then and then it'll be, I don't know, whatever the next thing is. Actor comedian John Reap arrested, charged with 10 counts of child stuff. That's no bueno. I don't know who John Reap is. I never heard of him. John Reap. I don't remember this dude at all. He was charged in Hickory, North Carolina earlier this year. That is no good. He is best known for saying that thing got a Hemi in the 2000 Dodge commercials. Well, sounds like he's going away for a long time. Director Jim Jarmusch beats celebrated Gaza war drama to win Venice Film Festival top prize. Okay. Indie Phantom, you reap what you sow. Ouch. Ouch. Indie Phantom, ouch. So Jim Jarmusch finally wins one. So he's got a quiet film called Father, Mother, Sister, Brother. I saw the trailer. I don't know. Jarmusch is weird. I did not like his zombie movie. I was very angry at his zombie movie. So good on him, I guess. I'm not sure about Father, Sister, Mother. Father, Mother, Sister, Brother didn't look that great. He's making a lot of films recently. He won the Golden Lion. It was a surprise to many who expected that honor to go to the voice of Hin Rajab, which ended up a runner-up award. That movie was produced by Joaquin Phoenix, and it's a Palestinian thing. So very politically motivated, that movie. Storebang is here. Overrated director, that Jarmusch guy. What did he direct that I liked? I don't even remember. I did like one thing he directed. Jim Jarmusch. Jarmusch. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Here are his director credits. Let's go all the way back. Let's go all the way back in time. Permanent Vacation. Stranger Than Paradise. Talking Heads, The Lady Don't Mind, a music video. Down by Law. Coffee and Cigarettes. I kind of like that. Big Audio Dynamite music video. Talking Heads again. Mystery Train. Coffee and Cigarettes 2. Red Hot and Blue, a tribute to Cole Porter, Tom Waits. It's All Right by Me. Night on Earth. I think that's the movie I kind of liked. Another Tom Waits, Coffee and Cigarettes 3. Dead Man, Neil Young's Dead Man. Neil Young and Crazy Horse, Big Time. Year of the Horse, Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai. I kind of like that. 10 Minutes Older, The Trumpet, Coffee and Cigarettes again. Maybe that's the Coffee and Cigarettes I saw in 2003. Broken Flowers, The Raconteurs, Steady as She Goes. The Limits of Control, Only Lovers Left Alive. I like that movie. I remember that one. That's the vampire movie. Indie Phantom, Jarmusch just kind of hangs around. That zombie movie was A. It certainly was. That was awful. Patterson, didn't see that. Gimme Danger, The Dead Don't Die. That's his zombie movie. No bueno. So no bueno. That movie was brutally boring. And didn't have to be. French Water, Cat Power, A Pair of Brown Eyes, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother. Well, he finally got a trophy. Jim Jarmusch. This was another sort of shockaroo this week. Charlie Sheen opens up about having sex with men while on crack. Some of it was weird. A lot of it was effing fun. Okay. Huh? Anybody have this on their bingo card? Check your bingo cards, because I didn't have this. I mean, Charlie Sheen once played himself in, I forget which movie. I want to say Being John Malkovich, where he's Charlie Sheen as the epitome of masculinity, and somebody's asking him for women advice. It's like, you're telling me you had sex with men? That kind of shatters your image. You were banging porn stars, and you're telling me now you were banging dudes too? I mean, you're free to do that. It's just kind of like, it's kind of a surprise. Seemed like that wasn't the path I had you down on, but you could do that, I guess, on crack. It seems. And if he's doing that, what did Hunter Biden do? You got to figure Hunter Biden must have done that too, but I don't know if we'll ever find out. Or is this just some desperate attempt to restart his career? Right? This is sort of like his weird backdoor, pardon the pun, in entrance into woke. Oh, no, see, I'm gay. I'm not a guy who banged porn stars and did coke. I'm a gay man, trapped in a body of a guy who did porn stars and coke. Indie Phantom. Sheen not winning. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you would announce this, other than your career needs something, and you just announce something like this. So, woke is not dead. Trans model returns as Victoria's Secret angel for 2025 runway show. No, Victoria's Secret. This is one company that should stay far away from this. That dude looks skinny. Oh, and you had to see the sack and everything. Come on. Victoria's Secret is nothing sacred. Apparently not. Apparently not. Indie Phantom. I mean, he was accused of doing not good things with Corey Haim. This might not be a good idea to fuel that fire. He was? I didn't know that. That is no bueno. That is big no bueno, if true. Actress Mia Farrow condemns Trump airstrike on Agua boat. It was murder. Well, far be it from me to agree with Mia Farrow and her political takes, but yeah, I don't think Trump should have just bombed this ship full of dudes for a couple of reasons. The first reason would be even it is in international waters, so there is some gray area. That's number one. But number two, I've always had this theory that Obama, early in his presidency, got compromised like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a big Obama guy. Once he got in, he didn't seem to really do anything that I liked. I didn't vote for him, but very early in his presidency, about a week in, they told him that they needed to do a strike on a Pakistani apartment building to get some terrorists. Obama approved it. They struck the apartment building, and then they found out later that the only people killed in it were a bunch of old people and children, and a couple of women, I think. And that to me felt like, yeah, they kind of teed that up for Obama. It could have just been incompetence. It could have just been a mistake. The Pentagon denied it for many months and months, but it felt like they oh, we'll get Obama to do the strike, then we'll cover it up for him, and then he'll do what we want. That's what it felt like to me. So I worry that it could have been a similar thing with Trump. Oh, Mr. President, you got to act now. If you don't act now, well, this boat and it's full of drugs and guys. So I really don't see why they couldn't have stopped the boat, maybe, or pulled up to the boat, and if the boat shot at them, well, then you blow it up, and then it's all good, right? It's like, well, we tried to stop the boat and they shot at us, so we had no choice. So I think it's a bit of a gray area, but it is in international waters. I think there should be some sort of process, though. But Mia Farrow, I don't know what she's saying. She is not in the process. And she's just, she has no credibility, because if Trump comes out, blows up a boat, Trump comes out, picks a flower, she has the same reaction. Trump is evil. So, I think maybe Trump should have maybe had a little more justification. I think it would have been better to capture them, because then you could question them and find out their deal and see that the boat was full of drugs, if it was. Then you would be like, okay. And at the very least, if you let all the guys go, you still could keep the drugs and burn them, or I don't know. I don't know what they do with drugs they confiscate. Doctor Who star Nkuti Gatwa calls Shakespeare unapologetically queer. No, that's you, Nkuti Gatwa. And that's fine if you want to be that way, but please don't drag the bard into everything you do. You already did it to Doctor Who, and how did that turn out? John Nolte, wholesome pro-Christian, The Conjuring, Last Rites triumphs at the box office with record opening. What record did it break? I mean, it didn't do better than the other Conjurings. It did better than the last Conjuring. So, not sure what you're talking about. Plus, when The Conjuring started, the movie prices were ticket prices were cheaper. It sounds like you're trying to push it because you see some pro-Christian stuff in it. It's fine. It's doing okay, but... The Conjuring Last Rites review, saying goodbye to Hollywood's only normal people. Well, hopefully there'll be more. This happened this week. This black comedian, you can't say it. His name's Drewski. He's black. He dressed as a redneck. He had an amazing makeup job. Not only did he look like a redneck, he looked like a redneck with a sunburn. It's amazing what they did. I don't know if they put a bodysuit on him or what, but he looked amazing. There's no way you could tell he was black. And so then he went to NASCAR and acted like a redneck all day and filmed it. And that's about it, really. You know. So basically, John Nolte's saying he basically proved how little racism there was in America. I mean, yeah, kind of. And then more stuff about AI. There's lots of AI stuff going on. Um, and West Point Alumni Association cancels award ceremony for Tom Hanks. I still can't figure out why the West Point guys were giving Tom Hanks an award. Like, I don't understand why you would do that. Is it because he was a Vietnam veteran in a movie? And a World War II veteran in another movie? Maybe. Maybe it's because of his... I think he did a bunch of charity work for veterans during Saving Private Ryan days, maybe. Just seems weird. Just seems odd. All right. So that's about it for me. What have we learned today? Well, we learned the movie's still meh. Movies are still meh. The Weekend was still meh. Although, I think it was a little better than last week. Well, I can't find out because the numbers isn't really working. Yeah, I think last week we were under 100 million, if I'm remembering correctly. So this is 122. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that seems to be selling in movie theaters these days are horror movies, which is a good sign, because they always sell. But they're still not the biggest movies. They're decent. They make money. They've always made money. But I don't think Hollywood can survive on just a couple of horror movies. They would need a bunch of these in the movie theater. And there's just not enough movies coming out, would be my opinion. I shouldn't say they're not coming out. They're not getting to theaters anymore. Indie Phantom, pretty crappy box office. Oh, backtracking. Probably Hanks producing Band of Brothers and the Pacific. Oh, I forgot about that. Right. Yeah, I mean, doesn't seem like a great box office. Indie Phantom, Jaws almost made top 10 again. That's right. I mean, it was number 2 last week. 2. A 50-year-old movie is number 2. That's ridiculous. Indie Phantom, Back to the Future getting re-released too. It should. I'd almost go see that again. And I almost never go re-see a movie. I love Back to the Future. They should have been doing this. See, look, they've got all this space in a theater, and they play the same damn movies. There's the same damn movies in every theater. Why not mix it up? Why not mix it up? And if you mixed it up, right, I have maybe 8 theaters in driving range for me, and they all basically show the same movie, same 12 movies, or 15 or whatever. If they mix those up, at least, not all of them, but the ones on the bottom, and swapped out a couple of different movies, one of those movies might hit it big, right? One of those movies, and anybody would notice, especially if you monitored this stuff, at AMC, for instance, which is a big chain. There's at least 2 AMCs near me. So the 2 AMCs, there's no reason that they have to play the exact same movies in every theater. Like, one of the AMCs could switch 2 screens to 2 other movies that, just take a chance on them. Say, well, we'll try these movies. They're expected to do about as well as the other movies. And one of them takes off in a theater, and then the theater that didn't play them, you call over there and say, how's things going? They say, well, nothing's really hit here. Oh, well, we played that other movie. Swap it out with one of the movies, the worst movie you got. And they swap it out, and the next thing you know, you've got a different kind of movie in the mix. It's not that hard. Everything's electronic now. The movies are downloaded. the movie posters in the lobby now, a lot of them are electronic. So they'll all be in a file. You just upload them. Okay, now we're playing the good movie. Now we're playing the movie everybody wants to see. Indie Phantom. Yes, cinemas should be a mix of new, art house, and retro most of the time. They used to offer double bills for a new movie preview, which was a good deal in the 80s. Yeah. Yeah, or just, just mix it up. Like, if you got to appeal to movie fans. What do movie fans like to do? Well, some of them like to go see movies in the day when they can. Indie Phantom, come see the new movie and stay for the one that's already doing well. Yeah. Or part of the problem is the movies are too long. That's a completely other issue, which has got to be hurting the theaters. It's got to be hurting them when all the mainstream movies are over 2 hours, and then you have to space them further apart and you can show them fewer times. You got to show... This is why you got to make 90-minute movies. Because a 90-minute movie, you show the movie, you clean up within 15 minutes, you get ready for the next movie, you show the next movie, say 2 hours from the start of the previous movie. That's the way you got to do it. You have to have the movie 90 minutes. You have to have the previews 15 minutes tops, probably a little less. And then be able to clean the theater in under 15 minutes to get the next wave of people in. So the whole process should be 2 hours, period. And only in rare circumstances should it be longer. And so every movie comes out on the 2 hour mark. So you play it at 2, 4, 6, 8, maybe 10. Depending on what day of the week it is. Now, if you don't have enough people lining up to see the movies, you got to lower your price. This is what every business has done since the beginning of time. Lower the price. Oh, wow, Wednesdays are dead here. Lower the price on Wednesdays. Say, movies are $5 here on Wednesday. Whatever day you're not doing well, lower the damn price. Or do what Indie Fandom suggests, play 2 movies together and give a deal on that. But, that's a long time to stay in a movie, 4 hours. But I don't think they care. I really don't. I think these guys are all hyper-focused on streaming. And theater is now like, it's secondary. Yeah, we make some money in the theaters, but then, most of it's on streaming. Okay. If you want to just become part of the internet, there are plenty of dead websites out there. You could be one of them. You can only draw people in on a platform for so long. I mean, eventually, Disney keeps raising its prices. I don't know how Disney Plus is still a thing. Indie Phantom, surprise caught stealing didn't do better. It looks more like wait to stream. Yeah, I was surprised too. I was surprised. I thought it would do well. I think it was, let's see. Yeah, it dropped 59%. It's in its second week. Last week, it really wasn't up against much. But again, nobody's coming to see comedies. Indie Phantom, not to mention Honey Don't and the Roses. Yeah, we talked about them. The Roses just were completely unnecessary. Honey Don't, in the 90s, I think would have done well. But now it's just not the kind of movie that does well. We're doing a lesbian PI. That was edgy in the 80s. It was cool in the 90s. Now it's just like, oh, great, another one. Not to say that it's bad. Maybe it's a good movie. Margaret Qualley's hot. Aubrey Plaza is still pretty hot. I still kind of want to see it, but it's nothing new because you keep cranking out lesbian movies like it's no tomorrow. And you got how many lesbian movies have you cranked out, Hollywood? They were just talking about Lightyear. Indie Phantom, nothing to distinguish streaming movies. Yeah. They kind of all blur together. And then you see something on streaming you never saw before, and you're kind of like, The trailers are terrible too. I'll tell you that. I've been struggling with some of the trailers I've been watching. I'm like, what the F is this movie about? And it doesn't tell you. You watch the trailer and you get to the end of it and you go, I'm not sure what the hell this thing is. Or worse is like, you're watching the trailer and you think it's one type of movie, and then you get to the last 10, 20 seconds of it and it's a completely different movie. It's like it turns into sci-fi and you're like, wait a minute, this is a sci-fi thing? It's nuts. They don't even know how to cut a trailer anymore. And that's on YouTube. Like YouTube, you don't have any restrictions on YouTube. You can cut the trailer. Half the trailers I see on YouTube, they're never getting into the theaters anyway. If they're under some time constraint, I don't know about it. You just cut a 2-minute thing. I mean, if you can't cut a 2-minute trailer of your movie because it's too complicated and convoluted, I mean, you just got to cut something. You got to cut some cool scenes together and tell me what the damn movie's about. Even if you got to do a voiceover, even if you got to put a key on the screen, just tell me what your freaking premise is. That's it. You don't have to give the movie away. Is it a murder mystery? Is it a love story? Is it a sci-fi thing? Just tell me what the movie is so I can make up my mind. Don't play this coy game. Oh, you don't know what this movie is. It's everything to everyone. No. No, it's not. It's nothing to no one if you do that. You got to tell me what it is. And that's part of the problem with a lot of these movies. You know, The Roses, when it was out in 1989, The War of the Roses, it was a comedy. It was basically a comedy. The new The Roses, is it a comedy? I don't know. Couldn't tell you from the trailer. I think it's a drama. Probably. I think they hide a lot of movies that were billed as comedies in the 80s and 90s are now billed as here's a movie. And they don't tell you if it's comedy or drama. At worst, they'll say, well, it's a comedy drama. Because they see the comedy as a drawback. And that may have been true during the height of the wokeness, which I still say is dying. But now people are thirsty for comedies. But now the comedies are so anemic. They're so like, well, we don't want to offend anybody, comedies. Please, offend someone. The first comedy, the real comedy that comes out and is super offensive, it'll probably be all over the internet in a matter of days. And it should be probably pretty offensive. That's the only way you can get people to read the damn or see the damn comedies. You're gonna have to piss some people off, and it's probably gonna be very woke women. But who cares? They're not seeing your movie anyway. All right. What else do we have to talk? What have we learned today? I always say. Again, we learned the box office crap. We learned Ardent is out today. I'm not sure why. I've seen them all over the internet, but whatever. What am I doing? I'm doing the Scary Book Festival on next weekend. That's Saturday at Act 2 Books in Flemington, New Jersey. I think that's an all-day thing from like 10 to 4. So check me out there. I got to take Joan to the groomer on Wednesday, so pray for me. This time, though, I actually got an appointment in the day. Normally, I have to go super early because I have to get the best dog groomer there because Joan is a special case for reasons I won't go into. And I have to stay with her until the grooming's done because Joan cannot be alone. And normally, I have to get there because they accommodate me. They say, well, you have to come to the first appointment. And that's at 8 a.m. So imagine me half asleep with little Joan trying to hold her while the dog groomer's like shaving her. And then, so this time, the dog groomer had a doctor's appointment. So her first appointment on Wednesday, thank you, God, is at 1 p.m. So I'll actually be awake. Indie Phantom, we learned that horror is alive and well. It certainly is. It's the only thing left. It's the last thing left in the movie business. And again, Three types of movies you want to make: horror, action, or TNA, because they have international distribution. Indie Phantom and Toxic Avenger might get a sequel. Well, at least it's a comedy. At least it's a comedy. All right. I'm going to wrap it here. I got to get back on book 19. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to the Piney podcast tonight. I might save it for tomorrow because I really got to get book 19 wrapped up tonight, and I got to do some videos. Store bang. I hate when people call their material comedy drama. If you're not funny enough to make a straight up comedy, then get the F out. Yeah. I agree. The comedy undermines the drama undermines the comedy. Just make a comedy. Just make a comedy. If more than 50% of the material is comedy, it's a comedy. If it's less, then it's a drama. Whatever, whatever the other half is. If it's comedy this or comedy that. I do the Pineys, it's a comedy horror thing, but it's really comedy. It's really more comedy, I think. And comedy and horror are two genres that work well together because they're all about surprise. Comedy dramas work against each other. They work against each other because the big reveals in comedies are hilarious surprises, and the big reveals in dramas are tragic. They're often very tragic. You get to the restaurant and your wife's with another man. You find you have some terrible disease or, whatever. Like, that's a drama. So-and-so doesn't come back from the war. That's drama. Comedy in that, you can have some of it. Certainly you're going to have light moments so the drama isn't a complete drag, but you got to have it, one or the other. You got to make up your mind. And if it's mostly drama, just say it's a drama. If there's some light moments in it, nobody's going to say, oh, wait a minute, I've been ripped off. This is a comedy. No one's going to say that. But people will say, if you bill it as a comedy drama, well, that wasn't very funny. That doesn't make any sense. You're like saying, well, it's not a very good comedy and it's not a very good drama. That's essentially what you're going to say. You might as well say that. You could say it's a light comedy. A light comedy. Okay, it's not that funny. It's like, it's a light comedy. It's not like Airplane where they're banging you over the head with jokes. That's what I say. Anyhow, I got to wrap it here. I got to get back to writing. And book 19 of the Pineys, putting the finishing touches on it tonight. So I probably won't get to the Piney podcast, but we'll see. I need 8 more pages. That's my goal. Get 8 more pages, get it done, and get it uploaded to the copyright office in Washington, D.C. So I got a little derailed yesterday. The power went off. Before you go, please give me an upvote. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one. And stream.